we're live now on YouTube. If someone wants to go and double check, I'd appreciate that. I think we're up and running on YouTube. Okay, chat is working as well. Make sure you single tap. No, let's do triple tap actually. Treat the screen like the Trump admin treated that school in Iran, okay? Give it a double tap, okay? Let's see. Up and walking on YouTube. Thank you for checking Patriot. Thank you. Man, I don't have high hopes for getting debates today. Maybe, hopefully. We'll see. If not, there is a abundance of news. There's a big abundance of news to cover. The DOJ stuff. And what's up, Abby? What's up, David? What's up, Maru, Rome, Francisco on YouTube. Trump endorsed Paxton. Good. I think Talarico could beat Cornyn or Paxton, but I'm glad that he endorsed Paxton. I feel like Paxton is easier to beat in a general election. What's your prediction for the World Cup? I don't know, bro. I don't watch enough sports to have an informed take on that, honestly. I'm slacking on sports, especially even MMA. Honestly, I've been slacking a little bit lately. Bob Lob Chob in the guest request. Are you a Trump supporter? Yeah, easy work for James. You got to put down the money for the 2028 nomination for James. That's a big money printer right there. Get ahead of the curve. You can get a 50x payout. I'm not a financial advisor. Mexico for the World Cup. Honestly, base, just because I feel like it would trigger MAGA. So yeah, why not? Any non-white country for the World Cup, just to piss off MAGA. Okay. And also, honestly, if the news is kind of dry and we can't get any debates, then I know the people have been asking for like a proper plan of action for 2029, like a manifesto of sorts on policy and priorities. And you know what? I have the Google Doc ready. So if all else fails and we got a cozy little small stream today of like 40 people because the algorithm hates me and because, to be fair, I'm not consistent with going live, then we can pivot to that. Let's double tap. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, I don't know about double tapping, but if you're on YouTube, you can, like the live and send super chats or whatever. Share, subscribe if you're not already. Slush fund for January shitters is crazy. Yeah, is it crazy though? Is it? It's just you hear these things now and it's like, yeah, that checks out. That's what I would expect to happen at this point. The bar is like, to say the bar is in hell is insulting to hell. Okay, we got 4 guest requests. Is any of these people? Thomas Tully 3, are you a Trump supporter? I call him 9. Are you a Trump supporter? Sports Edits, I know you're a patriot. You're not a Trump supporter. And happy birthday. I think same person, right? Happy birthday, Sports Edits. You are? Okay, cool. Let's... Why do I feel like I'm missing something? That's up. That's running. Let's see. Okay, let me go to my scenes. We're on debates. Okay. Hey, how old are you?
47.
And you support Trump?
Yep.
Why?
Because he's the greatest president of all time.
And why do you bestow that title upon him?
Well, he's up against a lot. I don't think that, we can definitely say that no one has ever been challenged or investigated or
as much as Trump.
Opposed, yeah, as much
right,
as
because, no one else has committed these many crimes and severe crimes at that as Trump. So, yeah, if you commit more crimes and engage in more corruption, more division, you're going to tend to get more pushback for that.
Severe crimes? Have you made a list of the severe crimes he's made?
There's the 2 federal indictments that were against him under Jack Smith, right? Those are pretty serious crimes, and it seems like pretty open and shut that he did those things if you read through the indictments. A lot of those things he doesn't even necessarily deny, right? The fake elector scheme, the classified document situation.
Classified documents, you mean that was found at Mar-a-Lago?
The obstruction of justice case where he actively lied to his lawyers and actively lied to federal investigators about returning documents and hid the documents from people instead of complying with the feds like Mike Pence and Joe Biden did?
Oh yeah, so that's a
Yeah.
good narrative. Yeah, so
No,
a
that's
pretty good
just true,
narrative.
right? There are text messages or security camera footage of Trump telling people to go
What
hide
would
boxes. They pick them up right
you
before
seem
the
to know a
FBI gets
lot
there.
about it? Why would Trump? What would he be doing with these documents? What is your next assumption that he'd be doing with these
Depends on
documents?
the document. He had a whole host of them, but we do know in at least one case when it comes to classified attack plans on Iran, he was showing them off at dinner parties to brag to journalists.
So you have
He's
no
on he's on
idea.
tape.
So the answer is you have no
I just
idea.
gave you a specific example of what he was doing with one of
Do
the
you see why
documents,
your
and he's on
party
tape.
has no credibility?
Can you
You
hear
don't
me?
even know
Hello?
why.
I just gave you a
Yeah.
specific instance of what he was doing with one of the documents, and he's on tape doing that. So I don't know what your argument here is.
Doing what?
Showing classified war plans to people at a dinner party to like flex or brag?
Show us the proof of that.
Sure. Wait, will you concede if I pull up the tape where he literally, I don't know if you've seen this, he's like on recording on hidden microphone admitting this?
Admitting what?
That he's showing, he literally says, this is classified. If I was still president, I could have
Hey, go
declassified
ahead.
it.
Give us your verbatim what he said. And
I'll
then
just
let's
play
go
it. Hold
check
on.
what he said. Yeah,
Trump.
that's what I thought.
CNN, what is it?
Is that where you get all your news sources?
It's
CNN.
incredible.
There we go. I mean, it's the recording. Other news outlets reported on it as well. Do you think it's like this before AI existed, they created an AI video of Trump, or what's the excuse here? If you're ready, I have it pulled up. We
Let's
can play
hear
it and listen
Go.
through.
Play it.
Cool.
Here one day. The recording was made 2 summers ago, July 2021, at the former president's club in Bedminster, New Jersey. You will clearly hear the former president as he is speaking to several people. According to the special counsel's indictment, they include a writer working on Mark Meadows' memoir, the publisher, and 2 of Trump's staff members. The president was aware he was being recorded. It is the first time it is being played publicly.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the
Like when
beginning.
Millie's talking about, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in.
That's right.
Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him.
Wow.
We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here. Look at that.
Yeah.
I just found. Isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
Now listen up.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time,
she'd send
Private
it.
email.
No, she'd send it to
Yeah.
Anthony Weiner,
Yeah,
the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
yeah.
I was just saying because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what. These are the
You did.
papers.
It's pretty
This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know, we'll have to see, we'll have to try to
Declassify
figure out
it. See, as president, I could have declassified
Yeah.
it. Now I can't, but this is
now
classified.
we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. This is still a secret. As
This
he's
is your
showing,
case, dude?
as
This
he's
is your
showing,
case? That was it?
as he's
That
showing
was it?
classified military attack plans to
So
random
he's
people.
talking about declassifying it, right?
No, he's
He
saying I
hasn't
can't
handed-
declassify
He
it.
clearly doesn't hand it over. Okay?
He's showing them.
He's talking about it.
Is this the
Well,
cope
we
you're
don't
gonna do
know.
now?
We don't know. If that's your proof, it's
He
pretty
literally
bad proof,
says,
dude.
"Look." Like, what do you think he was talking about there?
So I've taken a piece of paper and said something
Bro.
and said, "Look,
Do
Look,
you like?
here's my
why
receipt.
do you have to
You never
twist
done that?
yourself into a pretzel to defend this guy? This is embarrassing.
well, no, I mean,
I just played it
here's-
for you. Everyone heard
This
it.
is where your credibility sucks. When you
right,
guys strike
right.
out.
The
you
guy
strike
who's in
out again.
denial about a recording about his
Okay.
about a favorite
You're
guy on the
striking out
planet
bad,
can't even
bro.
admit what it is.
Okay, so there's the burden of proof when you make an allegation.
Yeah, that was
is
called
on you.
proof.
Okay, you're gonna keep cutting me off. So the burden of proof is on you to prove that he did something illegal. You said
Yep.
that he did like a horrible crime by
indicted.
doing so.
So,
Yeah, that's
tends
a
to happen.
total joke. You ever heard of the statement? You can indict a ham sandwich.
Yeah, I've heard of that statement, and it must be. I guess James Comey is more innocent than a ham sandwich
knew
then,
you would
because the
say
Trump
that.
admin
I
tried to
knew.
indict him and Letitia James, and those got tossed out.
86-47, huh?
Yeah.
You think
Before we pivot
that's
to
not
that,
bad?
you have
That's
to
not
actually
bad.
contend with the
Who
clip I played
pivoted?
for you.
Who pivoted?
Before we
Who
pivot to
pivoted?
8647, can we just talk
The
about this
king of
clip?
pivoting, accusing me of pivoting.
Can we just
And then
talk about the clip
and
that I
then
just played?
address it, and I'm
Sure,
the
address it.
pivoter.
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
No, I just addressed it. You think that's okay? 86-47. You think that's a good thing?
Address the
You think we
clip
should
I
do?
just played of Trump showing someone classified information and
I
admitting that
find
he
that
can't
to be a high
declassify
crime.
it.
I find that
He
to
can't.
be.
He can't. Are we
There's
surprised?
an actual
Are we
victim
surprised? People were calling it in the chat that he's going to go into denial and start coping when I play the audio. So
I already listened to your audio.
I hoped better from you, dude.
I already listened.
Is
to your
that
audio.
it? Is that the full
weakest-
extent of what you're going to give us
It was-
about
it was
Trump
about-
being
it was
on
about
tape?
As weak as the. It was about as weak as the.
Yep,
EG
just
show
vague.
tape.
That's weak and blah blah blah. And you're a liberal. You can't actually engage with the substance. This is what MAGA has been reduced
Listen,
to.
I just want to say, bro, you've got no credibility left.
Okay, bro.
You know, you're
Congrats.
showing
Cool.
for
No credibility. Radical left. 8647.
13%,
Anything but addressing the
13%
point.
approval rating.
Anything but addressing the point.
13% approval rating.
See?
buddy.
He can't. He can't. Watch this.
Right.
Can
The
you address
Democrats
the
have no
recording of
credibility.
Trump admitting he is showing someone classified information that he can no longer declassify? Can you address that?
He's literally saying, "Well, I can't show it to you." Okay, I wish I could. I
Nope.
want to. I'm
Nope.
not president.
It's not what he
says that.
said. I
want
can
to, but
replay it
can't.
for you if you're lying.
No, I'm lying. So he wasn't insinuating or meaning that by saying that I want to make it unclassified that he is protecting it, and that
I will read.
he's saying so.
I will read
You know,
verbatim.
you're the
what he
one
said.
doing the mental gymnastics.
I can read
but-
verbatim what he said. This is secret information. Look at this. You attack. This was done by the military and given to me. If I was still president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. This is still secret. I just read all those words word for word from what
Right,
Trump
he
said.
knows he's on recording. He knows that he can't show it.
Bro,
He can't
the
hand it
cope
over.
is
He can talk
crazy.
about it. He can talk about it. He can pull it out and say, "Look, I got it right here." Whatever he said, you know.
Look at
He's
this.
trying to-
This is classified. Bro, why are you doing this? Are you on payroll or something? Or why? You don't have to do
What
this.
do you mean?
You
Well,
understand? You
let
could
me-
just
let
say
me
this is
challenge
bad,
you.
but I
Let me
support his
challenge
tax
you.
policy,
Okay,
right?
Okay, let me challenge you. Is there any difference in what he did than he just handing it over? Would there be any difference to you? Let's just see where.
Why
your
aren't
brain's
you
at.
addressing the clip, dude?
Hold on. Now. See, you don't like that question.
See, he
You don't
hasn't
like that
addressed it
question.
yet. I played the
You
clip like
can't
5
answer
minutes
that
ago. He
question.
can't. He pivots to asking me
You can't
questions.
handle the truth.
Oh wow, yeah, he can't.
The truth
He
is,
still hasn't
if you
addressed it,
handle-
guys. Have you
Look,
noticed
you'd
that? How
have
many
a
times
great
I've asked
case.
him? He's
Look,
like
buddy,
malfunctioning now.
Buddy, you'd have a great case. I'd have to agree with you if he handed it over. And I'm asking you a simple question.
Hello?
Would there be a difference?
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
I couldn't tell that you could hear me because you still haven't addressed the clip I played for you like 5 minutes ago, and it's getting a little bit embarrassing now. So if you want to address
I'm
that, we can move
addressing
on
it
to a
right
different
now.
point. Sure,
I'm
go ahead.
addressing it right now.
Go ahead.
If you found him guilty, if this is what his intention was to share, why didn't he hand over the documents then? Why didn't he hand it over and say, "Here, look, here, take these
Am I
documents." look through
tripping?
them
Is
carefully."
chat hearing him address the clip, or is he talking about something else? Like the substance of what was said in the clip. Is chat hearing him address that? Maybe I'm getting old, you know,
I'm
maybe my
asking you,
ears.
dude.
Maybe
I'm
I've got
asking you,
cobwebs
what
in
is
my
the
ears.
difference?
No. You can
What
ask
is
me
the
something
difference?
after you address this clip.
I am addressing the clip.
Cool.
What would be the difference? So
That's a
what is your
question.
threat-
That's not
what
actually a
is your
substantive
threshold-
response to what I played.
What is your threshold of illegal? What was
He's
illegal?
not,
What is
he's
the
not
illegal
addressing,
threshold?
Not addressing the clip.
Well, you can't address the difference. You don't want to
I'm happy to address whatever you'd like. We can just go in chronological order after you address.
over documents. And
After
then
you
holding
address this
documents
clip,
saying, I can't show
I'm
you
happy
these.
to answer your questions.
It's a shame I can't show you these. It's a shame I
After
can't
you
show
address
you
the
these.
clip, I'm happy to answer your question.
I'm addressing the clip right now.
No, you're just
He
trying to
says,
pivot
look.
to asking me a
He
question
says,
to
look,
get
he's
out of
holding.
this.
You can hear the piece of paper. It's in his
This
hand.
was
So
done by the military and given to me. If I was still president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. This is still secret. Look.
That's right.
Has he addressed
Look,
that yet, or?
He holds it out. Okay. And I'm asking you, is there a difference between him handing it over and holding it up?
I'm not
in the
asking
air?
you to ask. I'm asking you to tell me now.
Oh,
Engage
poor
with the
guy.
substance.
You got beat. You can't handle the
Dude,
truth.
it's like if you like pour water on a robot and
Poor
it starts
guy.
like tweaking out and fucking sparks start flying. He just starts malfunctioning. He still
That's
hasn't.
what's happening
He
right
still
now.
hasn't addressed the
you
clip.
cannot answer the question.
He still
Would there
hasn't
be a
addressed the
difference?
clip.
But Tim, Why didn't he hand it over then?
Notice how
wanted to
he
share
started from
classified
denying
information.
that Trump even did something like this. Then I played the clip, and instead of engaging with it, he starts asking questions to try to bring his
No, I
framing back
wanted
into
to
the
see what the
situation.
threshold. What was your proof? I
He's
challenge
not
your proof.
addressing
Now
the
I'm
clip
challenging your proof.
still.
I'm challenging you the proof. What's the threshold of being illegal? If you
Still
hold
not
the document up and you
addressing
say,
the clip.
so I'm addressing exactly what happened.
You're
He's
asking a
holding the piece of
question. You're not
paper up.
substantively engaging with what
That's I
happened.
thought. Yes, I am. I'm nailing it to the wall. It's
Okay.
perfect the way I'm laying it out.
I believe in you. Go
Is
ahead.
there a difference? Is there a difference?
The question is, address the clip that I played for you like 10 minutes ago
I
now.
am addressing it. I've addressed it multiple times. I mean, this is just childish, right? And when you're challenged to say, hey, what is the threshold for you? What do you call substantively illegal? What would make it illegal? Explain that. What would make it illegal? If you take a document, you hold it up in the air and you say, this document is classified. Is that a crime? I don't think
Reminder, the question was address the substance of the clip that I just played, not ask me a follow-up question.
so. I just did again. Well, you're just going to be childish, so I guess how it goes. Fun debating you. Too bad you lost.
Are you really going to run away from just this one piece of evidence that you're
I beat you. I'm not going to
incapable of
listen to your
engaging in?
Jeopardy. You're the one trying to think of
I've
what
been
your
asking
answer
you
could
to
be.
address this
What
clip for
is
like
your
10, 15
threshold?
minutes now.
What is the threshold of illegal?
He's
What did
asking
you
me
do
about legal
illegal?
thresholds and intent and all these random things, not addressing the actual substance of the clip.
You made a claim. You could not provide
Not
proof.
addressing
I
the
challenged your
clip.
proof. I challenged your clip.
He's not
I said, here's
addressing
what
the
was said.
clip.
And so this is just childish.
Remember how
And
this
since we
started,
can't be-
guys. I told him he was
since you
indicted
can't
for
be in good faith,
classified.
it
Remember,
was
guys, how
nice
this
talking to
started.
you.
He's going to run away
It's
now.
too bad you got stuck
Remember
on
how
this,
the
buddy.
conversation started. I told him Trump was indicted for classified documents crimes, and he asked me what was Trump doing with the documents, and I gave him this example of him showing classified war plans at dinner parties to journalists, knowing they were declassified, admitting they were
knowing
they were
that
classified.
he did not share it with him. He didn't share it with
See,
them,
he's
did he?
just still
You can't
not-
say that, can
he's
you?
still not
Did he share it
addressing-
with them? Did he hand over the documents,
He
sir?
showed them, and he said out loud,
Show
"This
me
is
your
classified."
proof. Show me your proof.
I can play you my
You haven't
proof.
showed it. It was all on.
It was in the recording. He said, "Look,"
We are
and he takes out the papers.
showed that.
This was done by the military and given to me. Take a look. I can play the recording again.
By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
That was the thing, 'cause we were talking
You're a
about it.
narcissist.
And he said, he
We've already
wanted
heard
to
it.
attack Iran and what?
This is a waste of time.
This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know, we'll have to see, yeah, we'll have to try to
Declass
figure
it.
out.
We'll have to see. I
Says
think we
president, I
can.
could have declassed
Well, we'll
it.
have to
Yeah.
see.
Oh, he starts talking at the most important part.
This is a thought crime.
Let's just use
This
our
is a thought
listening.
crime at this
Let's
point,
just use our
folks.
listening
This is
skills.
a thought crime. He says.
Let's
"I
just
think
use
we
our
can."
listening
He
skills.
says, "I think we can."
Yeah, and he really doesn't want to hear what
Maybe
was
not.
said right after I think we can. He
I
doesn't
think
want to
we
hear the
can,
next
and then,
sentence.
he's playing a game.
He
Obviously,
doesn't
he's
want to
playing a
hear
game.
the very
And this
next
game is
sentence
made for
after
you.
I think we can.
This game is definitely made
Incapable of contending with basic reality, basic
for you.
facts.
And why didn't the charges stick? What year was this?
You could show him a picture of Trump like stepping on a newborn baby, and he would say, "Oh, that's
Why
not
didn't they
real.
get
It's
the
a bad
conviction?
angle. It's a fake camera."
Why didn't they get the conviction?
Gonna play it for
Why
you
didn't they get the
again.
conviction?
Gonna
They
play
had
it for
3
you.
years. Why didn't
Play
they
it
get the
for
conviction?
you.
They had
Play
3
it for
years.
you again.
We'll have to try to
Why didn't they get the
figure
conviction?
out
See, as president, I could have declassified
Yeah.
it. Now I can't, but this is
Yeah,
classified.
now.
As president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. This is still a secret. Now we have a problem.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so look.
He's
Just look.
joking.
Isn't that
You ever heard of a joke?
He's joking about a thing that he just happened to
Absolutely
get
joking.
indicted
And
for.
you can live in a fantasy, but that's what a joke is.
How is that
He's
living in a
literally
fantasy?
joking.
Because you seem very familiar
That's exactly
with it.
the way
What's
he
it like?
jokes around.
What's it like living in a fantasy? Tell us. Tell us more about living in a fantasy. You seem very familiar. How is it to live in a fantasy and constantly make excuses for a man who does not give a fuck about you, frankly?
Buddy,
How's
you're
it feel?
having a hard time. You're having a hard time, I know.
This guy's like the king of projection.
Good luck.
Living in a fantasy, having a hard time. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly how you've been acting. I've still. How long has it been now? 20 minutes that he hasn't addressed this clip. Still, it's crazy. It's such a straightforward thing, and they're
He's
incapable.
debating in bad faith. Go ahead. I'm just having fun with you, man. It's funny. You know, the credibility, I told you from the beginning. It's your the credibility, the 13%.
My credibility
no one
and
believes
liberals.
you.
I'm so
No one
sick of
believes
liberals
you.
and blah,
They're
blah,
so
blah.
sick
Yeah,
of
okay.
they're so sick of your allegations. Everyone's been through them.
Okay.
If you're
Typical
a normie, you go
liberals,
down the rabbit
allegations,
hole,
blah, blah, blah.
and then you
Marxist,
can't answer a
radical,
simple
thugs,
question.
Obama, Hillary,
You can't answer a simple
emails,
question.
Benghazi, Hunter Biden, dick pics, blah, blah, blah. You going to address the recording?
I've addressed it. If you
No,
want to speak in good faith, let
If
me know.
anyone's
I know
watching
you'll
on
spend
YouTube, you guys can
hours
rewind
in
and
that
let me
thing.
know
You'll
if there's a
spend
timestamp
hours,
where
but
he
I don't have
addressed
the
it.
time.
I don't have recollection of him addressing it.
I don't
We'll
have
see.
the time for you, son, but it was fun.
He's going to
Take
run. He's a track star. He's a runner. Bye. Bye-bye. I think he has to go change his diaper after that. Wow. It's crazy. It's so crazy. It was a complicated task. I played him a clip. I asked him to address it, and he starts flailing. He frantically is grabbing, oh, what's the threshold for this? He's just joking. It's anything but engaging with the substance. These people they have to deny basic facts and reality in order for their worldview to hold up to any scrutiny. They have to delude themselves. This is what's left in MAGA. It's embarrassing. It's like so, especially because it's like these people bend over backwards for Trump and they brown nose him at every chance they get, and he still looks down on them and sees them as like useful idiots, right? He's like, oh, these fucking suckers, thanks to them, I can enrich myself to the tune of billions of dollars and commit crimes. They're going to defend me anyways. They'll just kiss my ass no matter what I do. It's like maybe they have a humiliation kink, or I don't know what's going on, but man. I have to ask MAGA, like, does it not get exhausting, embarrassing? I mean, if you're a guy and you're in MAGA, you probably have like very, macho sense of manhood. Is it not emasculating for you at least? Right? To constantly bend over for another dude like this? It seems like if anyone would be against that, it'd be like these traditional conservative types, but they just let Trump walk all over them. Ah, man. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with someone, you lead him outside, it's a sunny day, the sky is blue and there's clouds. You're like, oh, you see the clouds in the blue sky? And they're like, what's your threshold for blue? What sky? It's purple. And it's not above us, it's below us. And there is no clouds, it's raining. From the left to the right, not up to down. It's like anything but just opening your eyes and looking at what is in front of you. See? And then you have these like illiterate homophobes who are like LBQ host. Do you mean like LGBTQ host, or is LBQ something new? This is all they have. Is like these weird, I identify as a attack helicopter and you're a Jeet, go back to your country, and oh, you're gay, and Trump's just trolling you. It's so epic when he trolls you by committing crimes and robbing our country blind and getting us into wars in other countries that he's incapable of handling. Right? Has anyone seen the meme of like the dinosaurs are there and the asteroid that made the dinosaurs extinct is like heading for the Earth, and there's like a velociraptor with a MAGA hat on, and he's like, the libs are going to be so triggered about this. Oh my God, when this asteroid hits, the libs are going to be so triggered. Okay, bro, cool. Splinter says, requested, are you a Trump supporter, Splinter? Yes, okay, cool. Hey, how old are you?
Adam, what's up, man? I'm 35.
What's up? You said you support Trump?
Yeah, what are you crying about today, buddy?
I think you missed it. The guy who was crying was the last one who couldn't engage with the fact that like Trump is a criminal, so tough luck, right?
Hey, when are you going to go in the fucking Air Force, bud?
It has nothing to do with anything. Don't plan on going to the Air Force. You want to debate?
You're not a productive
Trump,
citizen,
or
Adam.
You want to debate Trump, or you're
Well,
just
you're-
here
hold
to
on.
crash out?
Adam,
He's here to crash
Trump
out.
is
Okay,
worth
go ahead.
$10 billion, bro. You wash your dishes in your sink at night and drink Dr. Pepper. Okay?
He drinks Diet Coke,
You're
and he
a
probably doesn't
nobody,
know how to
dude.
do dishes.
You're
I
a
don't know what
nobody.
the own is supposed to be here.
Bro, you're a nobody.
You
though,
drink
Adam.
soda,
You're-
dude.
what
Trump,
do you
actually,
do?
no,
What
Trump
do you-
also drinks soda. Fuck.
Yeah, he's worth $10 billion. You're
Also,
worth nothing,
let's
bro.
just
How
be
much money do
real.
you have
If
in
we're
your bank
doing
account,
hot takes, Dr. Pepper is fucking mid. Let's just be honest about that, okay? Not even a good drink. But You want to debate Trumpism,
When
or
are
you're
you
here to
gonna
crash
go
out
be-
and talk about random shit?
Well, I'm just curious why a grown ass man like you talks shit about another man all day.
Maybe you missed this. He's like the president of the
I mean,
United
he doesn't-
States, and I do
Yeah,
political
okay, bud, but
commentary.
what are you
so
doing
like,
with your
you know,
life, Adam?
typically, if you end up doing political commentary, you're going to talk about the president.
But
so
Adam, what are you doing with your life though, bud? Do you have a job? Do you work 40 hours a week?
I do this full
Let me
time.
guess. This is my job.
Yeah.
I do this full time.
Yep.
So you're a bum loser, dude.
If being a
What do you
bum
make,
loser
like-
gets you paid,
What do you
then
make,
yeah.
like $2,000 a month
Nope.
on here?
Nope.
Yeah, you don't make shit, Adam. You don't make any money, bro.
Okay. Cool.
You don't make nothing, bro. You're a loser who sits at home at mommy and daddy's house all day and talks shit about
This
one
is all
man
they have is
day.
they just come and cry and you're like, when are you going to join the Air Force, bro? You drink Dr. Pepper and by the way, you're broke.
Yeah, you don't care about this country, though, bro. You don't care about this country.
Yeah,
Get
you-
the fuck
you
out of
really
here. You're not
do.
even American, bud.
See, I called it. They're gonna.
You're not
this is
even
all they
American,
have. This is
bud.
all they have. They're so triggered for what
You
they can
talk
never
shit about
debate on
America.
substance.
Why the fuck are you here then?
You support someone who hates America. So like, what are we doing here?
Hey, Adam, do we
I've
get
never said I
oil
want to
from
terminate
Iran?
the Constitution. I've never
Hey,
said that I want to
Adam.
put my political opponents in jail and like kill them and stuff and
Okay.
arrest people for expressing their opinion. So if you care
Yeah,
about
that's
America
what
so
Biden
much,
did.
that's Trump.
Yeah, that's what Biden did, you fucking pussy bitch.
You're so mad, bro. Oh my god.
Bro, you're a pussy,
Cry,
though, dude.
cry more.
One uppercut.
Cry more.
One uppercut to that
cry,
chin, bro.
Cry, cry.
One
Keep
uppercut to that
crying.
soft
Oh
little
yeah,
soy boy
one
chin.
uppercut, liberal.
I would
I'll send you
fucking
straight to
bobblehead
Mars.
you.
He's gonna
I
do
would
the
bobblehead
the
the
fucking.
fuck out of you, you fucking 7-Eleven employee. Bro,
Oh,
look at
you're
you,
so
dude.
tough. Oh wow.
Go work at 7-Eleven, bro.
Guys, take cover. He's
Fucking
coming with the
Snaggletooth
uppercut.
over here.
Oh no.
Hey, look at Snaggletooth over
Not
here,
the
bro.
uppercut.
Invisalign's fucking sponsor this
Not
guy.
the uppercut. No.
Dude, you have a soft chin, bro. Look at you. You're a nobody,
He's so
bud.
triggered. He's crying.
This is my job. I do this for my living. Bro, you don't make any money. You're a pussy. You make like $2,000 a month doing this. Probably not even that.
Higher. It's okay. Guest in your live has violated our harassment and bullying policy. Repeated violations by your guest may lead. No, TikTok, come on. Let him embarrass himself. Let him cry. Let him cry. Damn. That was fun. It's fun. Oh, you little liberal. I bet you just drink Dr. Pepper and one uppercut and I'll teach you a real lesson. And my favorite thing is when people call you irrelevant, but then they're like in your guest box. Why are you in the guest box of an irrelevant person crying on their live? Like, what does that say about you? Man, it's funny. It's funny. We just saw that that's the total spectrum of MAGA. The first guy who's like in denial about basic reality, you play him a clip of Trump admitting to crimes and he just starts malfunctioning. The next dude's like, leave our country. You're broke and an uppercut to the face will teach you a lesson. Sure, dude. Good job. Congrats. So cool. Bro, we have a crisis in this country of just people who are so soft. Oh my god. You know, when the conservatives had this whole thing in 2016 about like, you know, our country's getting soft and they get triggered so easily and, you know, they're always crying and complaining. It's like, yeah, I agree. That's a big problem in our country. It's called fucking MAGA, bro. Like, these are the people that see like a gay couple in a movie and they fucking spend the next like 5 months trying to cancel the company. And going on Twitter about like they want our kids to all be strippers, you know, cutting off their genitals and smuggling in illegals. It's like, bro, go fucking get some friends or like something. Like, go do something productive with your life. It's sad. It's sad that I guess it makes sense that everyone left in the MAGA cult is either going to have the intelligence of Trump or the weak ego of Trump, and usually it's going to be both. But I wish we had a right wing that wasn't fucking stupid and soft. It'd be so nice for someone to hop on here and actually pose a challenge in a debate and stay respectful. And I'm like, oh fuck, I never thought of that. That's actually a good point. Shit, it's so boring, dude. Two Pongs. Are you an Uzi fan, Adam? Obvious, bro. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm an Uzi fan. Look at my background. Of course, I'm an Uzi fan. And we got Why am I blanking on the name? This was fucking Eternal Take Deluxe. What do you call it? Lucifer versus the World 2. We got fucking Love is Rage 2. We got fucking right here. Got Perfect Love Tape. Yes, bro, I'm an Uzi fan, obviously. Obviously. Are you more of an Uzi fan or a Yeet fan? I would say I'm more of a Yeet fan, but they're of a similar caliber. I think Yeet, though. I would have to rate Yeet higher than Uzi. But that's a taste thing. I don't think there's like a correct answer to that. Did this Two Pongs guy answer me in the chat? I see you in the requests, Mr. Two Pongs. Uzi clears? Nah. Uzi doesn't... Uzi just makes a very different style of music than Yeet. And Yeet is like very... I'm not in. It literally says you're in my guest box. Bro, so how voting Democrat that of your life? Give me an example. I don't even know what that means, dude. Why did you support Biden? On what? I just support him on everything. I support him on some things and on others. How could you possibly have Uzi's album art behind you but be more of a Yeet fan? This is a fucking signed copy of Dangerous Summer, which is Yeet's best fucking project. This in 2093, so... And I love them both. I'm not necessarily like, oh yeah, Yeet's so much better than Uzi. They make very different type of music. Yeet is like much more experimental. And I think he's like a lot more genre pushing. Like he, especially 2093, like that was a very conceptual, experimental album. That's just like a different caliber of music in my opinion than like Lil Uzi. But I love both of them. So someone asked Drake or Kendrick. You mean the beef or like whose music do I enjoy more? The beef, obviously Kendrick won that, but Dangerous Summer is not the best. It's definitely top 3. If you don't think Dangerous Summer is top 3, you're tripping. 2093 and Dangerous Summer are definitely like in his top 3. If you rank them 2 and 3 or 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, that's different. But that Drake is mid sauce. I disagree. Old shit was better. I don't know. I actually don't think so. No. His new stuff is like a lot more, I mean, ADL kind of was a step backwards in terms of production, but Democrats would rather have a trans man in a woman restroom. Dude, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, people are fucking, they can't afford gas, they can't afford groceries, fucking little kids are dying in Iran, and you're talking about bathrooms. Like, what are you doing? Genuinely, what are you doing? Iceman is a 5 out of 10 at most? You're tripping. I don't know about that. Drake just be whining, dude's 40, time to rap about something substantial. But Drake's thing has always been like he's like the emotional, like sad boy, fucking bitter about shit all the time. And it's like, I prefer that than him acting like super tough and like, yeah, I'm not butthurt at all about the beef. Like anyone in Drake's position would be butthurt. And it's like, I feel like good music is driven by like authentic, by authenticity. And if he's like authentically fucking bitter about losing to Kendrick, it's the first time I've seen him have motivation for an album in a while, which is why I said in my last live as well, thank you to Kendrick Lamar, because if Drake hadn't gotten bodied in that beef, he wouldn't have had that level of motivation to actually put effort into a record. Like after Views, it was like he could fucking fart on the microphone and it would go number 1 immediately. So I feel like he got really complacent after Views. This is the first time since Views where like a project feels like he fucking had a chip on his shoulder. So, and his music's not for everyone. I'm not the type to debate someone like, oh, Drake's the GOAT, why don't you agree? But I think the Drake hate is like a little bit overblown, honestly. And a lot of people are still living in 2024. Like, am I the only one who likes Drake and Kendrick and thinks Kendrick won, but like still really likes Drake's music? People who are still like living in the 2024, like, oh, Drake, it's like, bro, just, it happened. Drake lost. Like, yeah, it's 2 years later now. DFW, bro, hop in the requests. Lay up. Are you a Trump supporter? "27-dimensional chess," true. I can't get in. Wait, Mr. Pongs, Mr. would you like to debate me about Trump, or are you like a supporter, or like what? I'm confused. Yes, Trump is using taxpayer money for a whole host of things, including benefiting January 6 rioters and criminals and insurrectionists and terrorists. Bro, this DFW guy, why isn't he in the guest requests? This might shock you. The reason gas prices were high in 2022 is because there was a global energy crisis after like a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. The reason oil is high right now is because Trump chose to launch a war against Iran and then didn't plan for them shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. So, okay, Mr. Layup, are you a Trump supporter? LEUPPP? Are you a Trump supporter? And Mr. Pongs, I'm going to need some... I'm a Marxist. Oh, God. Nobody can get in. Dude, I have to accept you for you to get in. You're in the guest box. I can accept you up into the live if you're a Trump supporter and you want to debate. I don't know what's not clicking here. Want to bring me up? We'll see. If we don't have any Trump people, then maybe. But I don't know what I gain by debating Marxism. Yeah, okay. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I support Trump, but I'm not MAGA, if that makes sense to you.
Would you support Trump over Kamala Harris?
No, but
Oh, so you would
I
vote
have
for
my
Kamala
own-
Harris over Trump?
I'd like to add more context. I'm not American, but I have my reasons for supporting Trump from international POV, if that makes sense to
Okay,
you.
but can you answer my question? Like, if you had to pick between Trump and like a Democrat in an election, who would you pick?
Yes, maybe not Trump.
So
100%.
you'd pick the Democrat.
Yes.
So then I don't know what we disagree on. Then what is your argument?
So Trump is actually the best president that is destroying the American hegemony from the inside, which is, I think, is the necessary evil for the international community.
He is destroying American hegemony.
Yes. I can support that. So the trade,
I don't disagree with you that he
war-
is. Yeah, he's actively undermining American hegemony. Yeah.
So then I guess you don't need me to further the debate, or do you want me to leave?
We agree descriptively that he's undermining American hegemony. The question is, like, do you support what he's been doing on the world stage, like
Yes.
killing innocents in Iran and fucking attacking Venezuela, and
Maybe not the killing side, but
not the what
losing-
side?
not the killing one, but diplomatically, he's losing influence America
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing for me, but not
Where are you
genocide
from?
or whatever it is. Canada right now, but I am from the Philippines.
But you live in Canada, you're saying,
Yes.
and you're
yes.
saying it's
So,
good for Canada.
everyone, the international community. I can reinforce that too if you need me to.
I mean, I don't know that I disagree. I mean, you want like a more multipolar world order?
Yes, exactly. Or a non-American dominated hegemony. But
Wait, so
I think
do you want like
unipolar world is
Chinese
done.
or Russian? I mean, Russia can't really do global hegemony, but you want Chinese hegemony?
Both of them are not interested. Only America is interested in unipolar world, and that's what irks me off. Like,
Well,
it doesn't matter
unipolar in what
which the
regard?
president
Like, are we
is.
talking about hard power, like institutional,
Hard
diplomatic
power, yes.
power, economic? Because
Both.
sure, because
Okay.
China doesn't use military power the same way for global influence as the U.S. does, but China still definitely wants global influence and like they want to be the key player on the world stage. That's in every country's self-interest. No,
No, because if you look at the way...
wait, why not?
No, because the way... It doesn't matter the president, right? The way American hegemony works is their number one weapon is foreign intervention, right? Like political intervention. So
That's one of their
there's
main
actually,
weapons.
like,
I'd say there's a few others, but yeah.
that's their best weapon, because the way you colonialize neocolonialism in 2026.
I also think that dollar supremacy plays a massive role. American culture plays a massive role. Like,
Yes.
it's just the most influential culture on the world,
Yes.
one of the most at least on the world stage.
Yes,
So.
but that was achieved through foreign interventions.
Yeah.
I can get back to you on this. So the way it works, right? Like, they install a pro-U.S. government.
I
on
understand
some
like Cold War
wicked
era
countries.
U.S. foreign policy.
No, it's
yeah.
not Cold War era. It doesn't matter. Like the last century, it doesn't. They do this the 71 countries. I can give you so many examples.
I just you're saying that like we disagree. I don't know that we disagree.
I just want to make
just
sure,
to be clear,
some-
like I don't blindly defend American foreign policy.
Okay, because some Democrats are still pro. They still want to be the unipolar, like policing everyone, dominating
Well,
everyone.
those are different questions. Whether or not you approve
Yeah.
of America's methods in the past versus whether you would like America to be the hegemon going forward, those are different questions, right?
Yes, but my point remains: Trump is destroying it from the inside. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Actually, I want him to stay a little bit longer. So I don't know that.
Isn't
may
the
come off
cost
as
of that like a
anti-American.
lot of innocent people are dying and a lot of innocent people are suffering from now an energy crisis because of the Strait of Hormuz situation? Like, what is the cost we are willing to pay for the decline of
It's-
American hegemony?
If you it dwarfs what damage America has done in the last century, right? Like last 2 decades alone, 40 million people died out of economic and financial sanctions done by the USA. Like a lot of they're not even like militarily like casualties. They're just hunger, famine, Like,
Right, but I want to
and-
reiterate my question. Like, what cost are
Yeah.
you willing to incur for American
Yeah.
hegemony to end?
But the cost right now is just very
No,
insignificant.
I'm asking you, like, what to you is an acceptable cost for the decline of American
You want like
hegemony?
an actual number?
I'm just
is that-
asking
is that
for
what
like
you're
your
saying?
view on this. I don't know what you mean by actual
Whatever's
number.
necessary. I don't think
Well,
I could
hold on. I don't think you
estimate the
mean.
number.
I don't think you literally mean whatever is necessary, right? If America like killed 1 billion people, but it ended up resulting in American hegemony ending, I think you'd probably be against that. No.
That confused me, the phrasing. So sorry, my English.
No,
English is,
you're
my
good.
third
I'm
language,
just trying to
so-
clarify. Like you're talking about an end state of American hegemony being over, which that's one question. The question is how do you get from point A to point B? And there are ways to get there that hurt a lot of innocent people, right? Or make the world more unstable, whatever it may be. So the question is, do you think it matters like what the cost is along the way? And someone asked a good question, like what measure of pain? That's kind of also what I'm asking. Like, how would you judge that?
As long as it doesn't end like in a genocide, that's it. Like any mass casualty. Like the example right now, like Cuba, they don't really need to suffer that much in sanctions.
I guess I can be more
I don't
clear.
want-
Like I can be more clear.
Yeah.
For example, do you agree that broadly speaking, if Democrats stayed in power over Trump, and I think you already said you'd vote for Democrats over Trump, that it's more likely that we would have some kind of Iran deal, and that it's way less likely we would have deposed Maduro and like bombed a school in Iran, and
Hey.
like lifted the sanctions on the West Bank settlers and like all these things?
So something along that line, as long as you become middle position, something not too extreme. Because,
Wait, so
it's
do
very
you
hard
agree
'cause-
with what I said, that like if Democrats were in power, those things would be better, those specific things?
Yes, yes. But see,
Okay.
that's a problem. I don't think the American president has direct control of the American hegemony as well. I
Sorry,
don't know.
can you say that again? What doesn't have
Nobody-
direct control?
The president, because we don't really know the inner workings of American hegemony. Yeah, it's gonna sound like conspiracy theory now, but because if you think about it, it doesn't matter that Democrat or Republican. Like the common pattern in the last 100 years is it's always America like doing
I
some
think
sneaky.
it does matter. Like, do you disagree that Republicans are like way more hawkish?
It's hard because every president has like a degree of like exploitation being done. Like
A degree of what?
I can a degree of exploitation done like in a certain manner from a hegemonic perspective. So
Sure.
It's
You mean
tough.
that they benefit from America's position as the hegemon, and that position was built on like a lot of fucked up shit?
yeah, something like that.
Sure. I would ask you a descriptive question though. Like, do you
Yeah.
think that's unique to America, or do you think that it's probably in every country's interest to be the most powerful country?
Not in a unipolar sense. If you think about it, like militarily aspect around, like
Sure. Well,
You really
to
don't need
clarify,
Yeah.
when we talk about like unipolar hegemony, there is an aspect to which after World War II and the Cold War, America kind of became the security guarantor of a lot of Western Europe, and it kind of spread its tentacles in terms of military bases and financial institutions and all these different ways to embed its power, globally. So that's one aspect of it. But the question that I'm asking you is, like, wouldn't other countries like to have those options available to them, of them being the world reserve currency, or them having like all this access to different markets and having all this leverage in terms of military positioning and economic might and having a massive consumer economy? The point that I'm making is I agree that the United States, like the foreign policy, needs to be seriously reevaluated and changed, I think. But I think that's also a different question from what country should be the most powerful country. Because I think, for example, if you have a country that establishes hegemony by engaging in like aid programs and using soft power rather than like killing people, I think we'd both agree that that's preferable to them using hard power to establish hegemony.
Yes.
Okay.
I would reiterate my point.
Okay.
Probably I wouldn't use unipolar, but a regional superpower, like controlling a region, maybe not controlling, I mean, but leading a region per se. So if you look at China, right,
Mm-hmm.
they're leading East Asia or Asia in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have no history of using like invading alone. Like right, like the best they have in the history was they had a border skirmish with
Sure.
India, Tibet, and
Sure.
other
But
neighboring countries,
again,
right?
we're talking about different types of power here. So you're talking about like annexation and military force, and that is one way in which to establish some form of hegemony, right? And I'm talking
Yes.
about the method through which hegemony is established, I think is just as important as the hegemony being there itself. For example, do you think like cultural hegemony is bad? The fact that the United States exports so much like movies and music, and other countries do as well. But like, is that the same as like military hegemony or like economic hegemony?
No, they're not the same.
Right. So,
There's,
so
like,
we would agree that
varying
like
degrees.
there are different types of hegemony, and there are different levels of how acceptable those things are, because
Yeah,
they
definitely,
necessarily
yeah.
involve different types of
Uh-huh.
force being used to uphold
Uh,
them.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a very complex topic,
I agree.
It's like something worth diving in the future. But yeah,
And
I
I
think
think it is important for people to look at the history of American foreign policy and learn from all the atrocities that have taken place. And the reason that I like to have hope in America going forward, although it's very hard right now, is that I don't think the argument has ever been that America is like a great blemishless country. The argument is
Yes.
that there is a capacity there for the bad to get better, right? We abolish slavery. We abolish segregation. Does that mean there's no more racism? Obviously not. There's still structural racism as well. But even when you look at
Yes.
foreign policy, the way in which we
Yes.
engage in foreign policy, ideally, I think, should continue to evolve away from
Yes.
at gunpoint and more towards economic incentives and creating coalitions and these types of things. And if America has hegemony but establishes it through these more positive sum things rather than zero sum things, in that situation, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily mind American hegemony.
I think that's where we disagree. I don't know.
Okay.
American hegemony. I don't know. I've seen that.
It also comes down to like
Yeah.
if you just want a more multipolar world order, then it's a question of
Yeah.
like there are different pros and cons to having a unipolar world order, bipolar, and multipolar. All of them have benefits and all of them have costs, right? So like some would argue that like a bipolar world order is actually the most stable because you have two established powers and they have very set parameters and they kind of don't want to upset the status quo too much. Whereas in a multipolar world order, isn't there more variables at play that could cause some kind of global conflict? Like if you look back at how the world war started, at those times we did live in more of a multipolar world. No,
It was a different time. If you ask me,
I'm just talking about like power
yeah.
dynamics in terms of like the concentration of power geopolitically.
Definitely. But I think we now live in an age of mutually assured destruction, right? And it's not
With nuclear weapons, but it doesn't really prevent hot
Yeah.
military conflict, right?
Yes, they do. They're deterrents, brother. Right?
Marginally, but like Russia will still annex Ukraine, and Israel will still do genocide in Gaza, and like meaning countries that have nuclear weapons don't just become like pacifist countries just because there's a risk of mutually assured destruction. They will just never escalate to a nuclear level. It doesn't mean they won't use hard power.
It's complex, man. Because see, like Russia, they behave differently from a superpower like China, right? And EU also behaves differently, right? So
Sure. Well, Russia is
it's
more of a regional
doesn't,
superpower, and China has more of
yeah,
a global economic superpower. So there's like different
yeah.
method aspects to it.
So yeah, I think Europe is just a complicated issue because you
Yeah.
have Europe versus Russia, right? Like they're both like the the leading powers in the region, and
Sure, and a lot of
who is
Europe's
in Asia, there's only
security, a lot of Europe's
yeah,
security infrastructure is basically built off of like American guarantees and American bases and NATO and all these things, which are
yes,
largely
but
a vestige of
uh,
like the post World War II order.
yeah, I'd like to get back from the Trump topic. So he is contributing the kind of like the declining relationship of America and NATO. So
Sure, I just don't think that
hopefully
that's
Europe,
sufficient to
they
say
need
that
to
his
arm
foreign
up.
policy is good. I guess.
Yeah, EU, in my opinion, EU needs to arm up just so like
Even what?
uh really they need to arm up their military
The Western
so they can
Europeans?
the just EU Union in general. You know, they need
Well,
to
yeah, it
rely
seems like
less
they're
on
moving towards
America.
relying on the U.S. less and bumping up their
Yeah,
military budgets.
it's because the region is getting hotter with Russia and Ukraine, right? And
Yeah.
the region is just getting yeah, you know what I mean. So,
Yeah, I guess
but yeah,
my only pushback is that like I think that multipolar world orders, while there's definitely benefits to them, and I think ideally you'd have some kind of every country has sort of an equal seat at the table. That's kind of like an idealistic way to think about it. But I think in reality, what we see oftentimes is the more powers you have to keep track of, there's just more variables at play, which increases the likelihood of two people bumping into each other and triggering some kind of global conflict. There's just more room for something to go wrong in a multipolar world order, whereas a bipolar, I actually think a bipolar world order could be arguably the best, because with unipolar then you're going to have people.
that's hard. Yeah,
Yeah, with unipolar, you're going to have countries that they because they're so powerful, they start pushing and pushing, and then eventually it leads to like a blowback. And you kind of see this cycle throughout world history where one power becomes very big, it
yeah,
overextends, it declines, it splinters, and there's a bunch of powers, and it splits into two, and it kind of goes in cycles. So in that regard, I agree that American hegemony is definitely on the decline. But at the same time, I don't think that would justify saying that we like Trump's foreign policy, because I don't care so much about whether America is the hegemon. I care about how America uses its power, right? And Trump uses
uh,
American power in a very harmful way on the world stage.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's I guess that we can agree to disagree, but I
Sure.
still it doesn't sit well with me that you're okay with American hegemony to an extent,
hmm
but I guess we can agree to disagree now because
Yeah,
I
like
gotta go. I
maybe
gotta
we can
cook dinner
agree that
here.
what Trump has done is
Yeah,
he's made clear the pitfalls of America having this much power, because then when you have a madman like Trump take over, he shows you all the choke points and all the leverage points where he can unilaterally fuck entire regions over by just giving an order. And then the question arises, should one country have that amount of power? Because then if that power falls into the wrong hands, there's no real recourse to address it.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Have a good day and
You too.
keep up the good work.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Keep destroying the MAGAs, brother.
I'll try. Okay. Those conversations are interesting. I still don't know that I would take it to the level of Trump's foreign policy is good. I have mixed feelings on like maybe it is good that the European countries are starting to build up their own militaries, because Trump has shown he's not a reliable ally. But I do get worried about a situation where everyone just starts racing to beef up their military, and like no one trusts anyone, and every country is like its own island. I think that multilateralism, globalism, those things are pretty based, and sometimes they might require that you have like major world powers to facilitate things and move things in a certain direction, because when power on a global stage is so decentralized, it can sometimes become hard to coordinate on like important issues. But then again, this gets to the question of anytime you have a massive concentration of any kind of power, on the one hand, you can move more dynamically, more quickly, get results, galvanize and make results happen more quick, right? There's less slowdown, there's less bloat, right? But then the flip side is when you have that level of power concentration and then the wrong guy gets the power, then those same things can work against you. That it's actually so easy to get these massive things done. Why defend capitalism? We can discuss that.
Hey, what's up? So
What's up?
I won't. I'm not sure if I'll be able to discuss for super long.
You're good.
Because I have food in the oven right now.
Sure.
But yeah, do you defend capitalism? Are you a liberal or a leftist? Or
I
what?
have
What's your
pretty
deal, man?
heterodox views, so I have like lots of critiques of capitalism. But one thing that kind of bothers me is it seems like if you have critiques of capitalism, everyone's like the only other option is some kind of Marxist strain of thought. I think there are aspects of capitalism that are good, aspects need to be changed. Some people would call me a social democrat. Some might call me more further left than that. But I can kind of go through issue by issue if you want to get into more specifics. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not a reformable thing. It's either the social relations.
I think the most important thing is like, how are you defining capitalism here?
Capitalism, I guess, a system that's predicated upon exploitation that uses free enterprise and markets. And I think it's there are certain things that it has done well.
Would you agree with the definition that capitalism is an economic system where the means of production are by and large privately controlled and owned?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously modern capitalism has taken a much different effect. Like if you look at how private property evolved over time, it used to be that private property was a means of it was a means of how do you say it? Sorry, I'm not very articulate.
You're good.
It was a means of ensuring that, let's say, a private landowner in a pretty decentralized community could actually own their tools. So like if you look, there was a time in which smaller communities, everything was publicly owned.
Sure.
And then as production kind of grew and stuff and people tended to their own farms more and
Sure.
legal systems arose.
Right.
Private property started to be like, or private property started to emerge, as in if you dispose over the land, you should own the tools and the land and such, so as there's no one, or so as to ensure that there's
Sure.
no one else that's not working on the land.
So
that's
to clarify my
controlling it.
position here, I think that there are a lot of sectors where you actually should not have private ownership, and there are certain areas where I would want the government to come in and nationalize, or at the very least offer a public option to basically force the private sector to play by certain rules. The reason that I think that I think the best part of capitalism is markets, but markets are not necessarily exclusive to capitalism, but I do think that the incentive structure of having markets is really important for having some kind of resource allocation. Now, in some places like healthcare, markets just don't make any sense. But I think when it comes to a lot of like mass-produced goods, especially consumer goods, I think markets are probably the best way to structure that. Now, if we're talking about when it comes to land ownership and healthcare and energy, there I think there's like a lot better argument to have the state come in and either force people to build more houses in some way through tax penalties, or maybe just building a lot more public housing, which I think is a great idea in terms of healthcare, having some kind of single payer system. But I don't believe that we need to entirely like upend our entire system. I think you can make tweaks and make it better.
Well, so then I want to address two things that you said here.
Sure.
I'll just say real briefly.
Sure.
I guess the reason that you think that, it's kind of clear that you think your opinion is that markets should not have disposal over things that are directly pertinent to human need, right? Is that reasonable to say?
I would say that markets should not be in place when the markets are producing like suboptimal outcomes for society. So in economics, this is called like there's externalities, there's positive externalities and negative externalities. I think we have to be able to take those into account, and private markets don't do that.
Sure. Okay, yeah, it's fair enough. So I need to think about where I was going with this.
Sure. Can I give an example of that real quick to flesh this out? So for example, when
sure.
you have like a very robust education system and you have things like parents can stay home and raise their kids without worrying about, not being able to make money, and you have regardless of what city you're born in, you can get good education, those things produce positive outcomes for society, but markets don't price those things in, right? Markets don't price the value of like motherhood or good education, and that's where I think you need to have the government come in.
Well, that's the whole thing about like, for example, wages for housework, that whole movement, feminist situation and stuff. But sorry, where I wanted to go with that is that your conception seems to be on the basis of markets. Markets are very good at immediately taking supply and demand into account, and they naturally work out these things. That seems to be your point. And additionally, that I assume your point is also that a centrally planned economy cannot properly account for these factors, right?
It depends what you mean by central planning, because I mean, even firms have some aspect of planning, but I when I'm talking about markets, I'm mostly looking at like price signals, and especially when this is why I talk about consumer goods and things that are mass produced. So things where demand is inelastic and there's substitution effects and there's lots of competition. That's where I think having private ownership in markets is really good. So it really depends on the sector at place, but in terms of command economies, it depends what you mean by that. Because for example, like a lot of aspects of China's economy could be considered commands, but I think when it comes to things like public infrastructure, that could be a good thing. So I think it is really on a case-by-case basis, which is why I say I think I have like pretty heterodox views here.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That's reasonable. I would like to say that I'm not actually a proponent of central planning. Have you heard of decentralized planning? Are you familiar with that ideology?
I'm not. I know some Marxists are like they want worker cooperatives. Is that what you're referring to, or?
Yeah. Well, workers' councils it's a little different. When people who want worker cooperatives are usually cooperative businesses that still operate within the market,
Sure.
and that's not what I want.
So
I think
do
the
you
market
want to
should
change
evolve.
the structure of how like companies and businesses are structured?
Oh, absolutely. But
Sure,
I
and
also
in
just
what
want to
way?
abolish market competition as a whole. Well, so ideally, the system that supersedes markets would be a system of workers' councils.
Can you just flesh out, like, let's say tomorrow you can snap your fingers and create your perfect economy. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be. You have to bear with me here
Sure,
because
sure.
there's actually a focus with a lot of people in the Marxist left, or in a lot of left communists. Like maybe you've heard the name Rosa Luxemburg, for example. That were extremely careful about how prescriptive they tried to be about what the day one economy would look like, because obviously
Okay.
systems respond to the nuances that
Right. And my
that they're
understanding
born out
is
of.
that
But,
the core of Marxism is actually more descriptive than prescriptive. But
yeah. So, anyways, but I guess if I would have to make a system tomorrow, it would be a system of workers' councils, in which there are councils that are made up of delegates that represent multiple different firms. They're confined in like an area basis. So like a certain region or a
so, like,
certain
for
province or
example, the
whatever.
Midwest could have a council which has workers from energy companies and food and like all these different
Oh, well,
sectors, or
The Midwest, the problem with that is that the Midwest would be far too big of a region.
Sure, or
you
Michigan
could
or
probably
Ohio
divide it
or
up into
whatever,
even that, like you could probably divide up like half of Minneapolis and make one council out of that.
Okay.
Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to you're trying to create a body that contains delegates from all of the local firms that are operating.
Okay.
And so the crucial thing about this is that these firms can come together and regulate production on their own, and plan out production and work with each other in this way.
What does this
to form what Marx
accomplish that
called
like the current system doesn't? Like, what are you trying to change by, like, what would be the purpose behind it, I guess?
What would be the purpose behind it? Well,
Yeah.
let's see. I mean, there are so many things. It's kind of like, where do I start? First of all, it abolishes market competition.
And why is that a good thing, I guess?
Why is that a good thing? Okay, one sec. My food might be ready here.
Sure, you're
Just
good.
give me one moment.
Yeah. If you guys are enjoying the live, make sure you're double tapping the screen. Follow up above, subscribe on YouTube, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. After we wrap up with this conversation, might pivot to covering some of the news and then going over some of the policy agenda I was talking about for 2029.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just get this out of the oven real quick.
No
and
worries.
Then
No worries.
Yeah, I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. Markets are the best way to reward labor. Regulated capitalism is the only way. Yeah, I tend to agree, but I think a big issue here is like when we usually talk about things like capitalism and socialism, it's like 5 different people have 10 different definitions for these terms. And I feel like it's more constructive to just talk about the actual underlying mechanics of how the economy works versus like these labels, like just defending these labels so blindly, which is why, like, I think Marx had good critiques of capitalism. I think he had bad critiques of capitalism. And I think like the idea that we have to like pick a team feels a little bit reductive to me sometimes, but. And for what it's worth, I have an econ degree, so maybe I've been indoctrinated into capitalism. Who knows? How left-leaning are you on economic issues? I don't even know how to answer that question. I feel like I'm decently left-leaning, but like I also believe in like incentives, right? So like, for example, I would be in favor of having conditional corporate tax rates where if a corporation guarantees like a certain amount of vacation days and sick days and paid leave for medical and parental things and like wages that keep up with cost of living in the region and all these things, and maybe that corporation can pay 5% less corporate tax, which some people might call that right wing, some people might call that left wing. So I believe like the economy is all about incentives. And the goal of the government should be to align those incentives to maximize the social welfare function. So when it comes to negative and positive externalities, education being a positive one, pollution being a negative one, those are things we have to take into account in shaping a system. And there are different ways to do that, carrots and sticks. So,
All right, sorry about that. I'm
good.
back finally.
Okay.
Yeah, so gosh, where do we start with the markets thing?
Yeah, I guess, or maybe like, where do you think we would disagree, or like, yeah, what is like the core of where we would differ?
Well, I think that market competition is unequivocally a bad thing.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Have you read Marx or?
I read a few things when I was in college, like 3 years ago, because I took some classes where we had to read some of Marx's stuff. But if you put me on the spot, I couldn't quote Marx for you. So let's just
that's
say,
I mean, that's fair. It's some heterodox stuff if you're studying.
My basic understanding is like there's a contradiction between the interests of the owners and the workers, and that contradiction eventually is going to become like the system's not going to be able to hold that contradiction, and it's going to lead to a transition towards stateless, classless society. Some people say, but that's my general understanding.
Yeah, well, yeah. There. I mean, there's so.
I know there's like a lot of schools of thoughts as well. So.
Oh yeah, there are millions of schools of thought. Not millions, of course, but like you have your Trotskyists and your Leninists, and anyways. But yeah, market competition, I think is really a bad thing. I mean, for any number of reasons. For example, when you have competing firms, it tends to drive down labor and drive up the accumulation of capital as much as possible, right? So
you mean drive down like wages for labor?
Yeah. Drive down wages. Basically, the incentive is to provide as little for the workers as you possibly can while they're still at a decent level of productivity.
I would actually push back and say that competition. I mean, it depends on the market. Would push wages up. Like a lot of the areas in the United States where you see really low wages is because there's only like 3 or 4 employers in the area. When you have more employers competing for labor, there's more incentive to push the price floor up on wages. Whereas when there's not any competition there to compete for workers, then it seems like you'd actually have the opposite effect where workers become dispensable because only one actor or one entity actually has that monopsony power over the labor market.
Right. Well, that of course sucks as well. When you look at, like, for example, the job market as bad as it is right now, there's not this competition between firms for labor power. There's much more so competition around how much capital can be generated through the practices of business, right? And so what you naturally see is that this drives down wages, and this can be observed throughout history. And further, I mean, if you look at market competition, like it's generally damaging to a lot of stuff. It tends to disregard human need and just serves the interest of capital alone. And you can is exemplified through environmental.
Environmental policy is where you have negative externalities that markets are not going to take into account, right? If a company dumps a bunch of toxic sludge in the lake, the company is not paying that cost, and the consumer buying from the company, if they don't live by the lake, they're not paying that cost either. So you need the government to actually internalize that cost into the market. But I think competition is actually, it pushes up wages, and it typically brings down prices. I mean, the most predatory companies you see, whether it's like big tech or something else, it's typically because there's not a lot of competition. It's like an oligopoly or a monopoly, or situations like that where you have like an entire market or an entire sector being captured by just 1 or 2 players. I think in some cases it actually could be good, like healthcare, but broadly speaking, and this gets back to why different sectors matter, right? When it comes to consumer goods and all these different things like cars and computers and whatever, I think competition actually is really important. And like, for example, this is like a hot topic right now, is like America wants to keep out Chinese EVs because if Chinese EVs came into the country, cars would get cheap as fuck for everyone because China produces like fucking luxury cars for $12,000, and that would be competition at work if they could compete in the United States. I think it's a good thing.
So, you have to admit though that if it's up to the capitalists, then they're always going to try and drive down labor.
To be clear,
possible, right?
It should never be up to the capitalists. It should be up to what is in the public interest. And that's why you need a robust government with robust regulation. I believe in having, for example, like mandated worker representation for companies and stuff, and ensuring that you have very, very strong labor unions, and ensuring that any place where you could have corporate power abuse, that there are guardrails set in place to prevent that, while not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, and ensuring that we still do have competition that's going to push up wages and push down prices where that's going to take place.
Yeah, my question for you, here's an interesting thing. Like, I'm curious who, all right, do you want to, is this something that you want to Google here in terms of historically, whether competition usually pushes up or pushes down wages? Because I feel like it's worth getting this out of the way.
Sure. I have an economics degree, so like I think I can appeal to that, which is that, and it depends on the elasticity of supply and demand, but typically speaking, all else equal, in any given region, the more employers you have, the higher the wages are going to be, just because you have more options for places to work. So companies need more incentive to bring you there. And there's many reasons wages can get pushed up. It is still true that the capitalist owner wants to pay you as little as possible, but that is subject to other constraints like competition, like labor supply. Like, for example, we saw when Biden first came in, like right after the pandemic was starting to like wrap up, wages were like super, super high for a little bit because like supply of labor was pretty low. You saw like you would drive by McDonald's and they were offering like $18 an hour, annual pay your tuition and all this shit. That's because there were like certain incentives in place that would force these companies to pay workers more, like give them some kind of incentive.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fair. My point more so is that why do you think it's not worth it for the workers to regulate their own production? What is your what's the problem that you have with that?
I think workers should have a seat at the table, but I think that there should be a healthy push and pull between like owners and workers. I think both of them bring something to the table, and neither of them should have like unilateral power.
What do the owners offer?
Capital and coordination.
Right. So here's my question. I don't understand why we should have the owners to thank, right? When the reason that the owners have such capital is because they have appropriated labor or labor power, however they see fit, to generate the greatest surpluses possible. And not to mention, even the inanimate objects that comprise their capital are simply materializations of past human labor.
Sure.
I mean, I just don't see. And then there's the argument that, oh, well, the capitalists, right, they're just appropriating the workers' labor power on their behalf, and they just want the best for the workers.
No, I don't buy that. They want the least for the workers. By definition, the incentive structure is such that the interests of a worker and an owner are going to be diametrically opposed, unless it's like a worker-owned business or something, obviously. And in those situations, there's a push and pull there, because, for example, this is like how the basic graphs are developed in economics for how you determine wages. Like, if the employer had all the power, they would want to pay their workers zero, right? If the workers had all the power, they would want to get paid infinite, right? And then the market actually clears some place in between that, and it may be in more direction one or the other, depending on which entity has more power. And I think it's important to try to get a balance there. Now, you are right. You can't just credit an owner and say, oh, they did this amazing thing. But what an owner does is they bring together labor and capital with some level of coordination and planning. So what like an executive does is they set agendas, they prioritize what to do and what not to do in accordance with maximizing profit, which you can take issue with that. But then I think all parties play a role there. And it's not about one is like evil and one is good. It's more about, is everyone being treated fairly, and is this benefiting society?
Yeah, sure. But the thing is, we don't have much to thank the workers for. And, you know, you have your small businesses and such not to thank the workers, to thank the owners for. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and in small businesses, of course, usually the owner is the chief director, right? Like they have the greatest knowledge of what they're doing. But in terms of large companies, yeah, the owners are just appropriators and directors.
In a large company, I'm referring like a CEO.
Right, yeah. And so I don't think that the CEO represents something that is out of the capabilities of the workers. Like, I think that workers can just as easily regulate their own production without having to respond to shareholders that are
CEOs and workers would have different incentive structures when deciding how to operate the business, right? So as I said, the CEO's interest is maximize profit. The worker's interest is maximize wages. Those two things are in direct contradiction to each other.
Okay, so here's the thing that you also have to take into account. I don't think that a wage economy is even good. Wage labor is not good. I think that remuneration. Sorry, I'm eating food here.
You're good.
Remuneration should be done on the basis of labor time. So the labor hours that you have contributed, or sorry, the amount that you are paid is directly correspondent to the amount of labors that you have put in.
Why would the value of the labor be defined by the number of hours? Like, isn't value defined like necessarily by markets? Like, if I spent 5 hours on something, but like no one wants it or gives a fuck, the value of it is zero.
Well, the key thing is for something to have an exchange value, or for something to have an exchange value, or for something to be a commodity, it needs to have a use value. So you can't just go around and pluck grass all day and make like a shitty salad out of it, and because if no one wants it, then it's not a commodity in the first place.
Right, and I'm saying the value of that thing,
there's a demand
the
there.
value of that thing is a function of how much people want it, not how much effort you put into it.
But once people want it, it becomes very clear that the amount of the value of that object is determined off of, like, for example, if you're in equilibrium, what determines prices?
Supply and demand both. Like,
Well,
the
but why-
willingness
so then
to pay of the
if-
consumer and the willingness to accept like certain prices from the producer.
So then why is if price is, or sorry, yeah, if value is due to supply and demand, right? Why is a car at equilibrium price different than a box of matches at equilibrium price?
Different in what way?
Why is the price different?
Because I mean they're different things. They provide different utility and there's different demand for them, right? So like the demand for matches is just structurally different than demand for a car. And same thing on the supply side, right? Producing matches is like way more complicated than producing a car. So the costs are necessarily higher for a car, and the benefit of owning a car is also higher for a person. So in both cases, both the producer and the consumer have reason to value the car at a higher level than a match.
Sure. I think the much more logical answer here, though, the much more concise answer is that it takes many, many more hours of labor to produce a car than it does to produce matches. So this is what the labor theory of value is all about. It's the theory of relative prices.
Yeah, I don't really buy that. Like, again, if you...
Why?
Because it's the operative thing there is not the number of hours it takes to build a car. If you could build a car in 2 seconds, the cost of building the car and the benefit it gives to other people would still be the relevant factors in determining its price.
All right. Well, here's the crucial thing. It's not just pure labor time. It's socially necessary labor time, or average labor time, if you will.
And also,
so what you see is that, well, if a car, right? Let's say a Model T cost X hours to produce back in the early 1900s, and a car nowadays costs 1/4 X hours to produce. The equilibrium price of either car, well, the equilibrium price of the car nowadays is going to be much lower, right? Because it costs much less labor time to produce. This is the time series hypothesis.
Well, it's not just labor time, right? For example, you agree that like the real value of cars, if you compare back to like when it was a luxury and like 10 people had a car versus now, that is a function of not just the labor value of building a car, but the fact that you have economies of scale, you have automation, and there is an entire process of not just labor, but coordination and all these different things, planning, design, from different aspects of a company, not just only people who are like working in a factory, for example. And it's not just that determines the value. It also affects, or rather it's also affected by how much people need a car, right?
Well, sure, yeah. Well, again, we're talking equilibrium here, and the reason here, the answer to your question,
equilibrium is just where markets settle.
not necessarily. Markets don't always settle at equilibrium. A lot of the time, they don't settle at equilibrium. If supply and demand are truly equal, meaning that every person who wants to buy a car there are if there are 100 people that want to buy a car and there are 100 cars available, those two meet. Those are where those meet on a curve. What you're looking at is
the way the graph works is there's willingness to pay, and then there's like willingness to accept certain prices, and there's going to be a certain point where it meets where I'm willing to pay X amount of money for Y good, and the producer is willing to accept X amount of money for Y good. And then anything above or below that is what's called like producer or consumer surplus, right? So for example, if you have this fidget spinner and a bunch of people some people are willing to pay $1 for it. Some people would pay $2 for it. Some people really want it, they'd pay $10 for it. And let's say it sells for $5, right? Anyone who is willing to pay $6, $7, $8, $9, or $10, they now get a consumer surplus from that because they are getting the fidget spinner for less than their maximum willingness to pay.
Yeah, well, okay, that's an interesting argument, but
Right.
at the same point, I would contend that supply and demand are just the amount of people that want a certain thing and the amount of the amount of that thing that there are, right? And so the determinants of the amount that people are willing to pay is definitely subjective, but that's
Well,
not necessarily.
it's not about how many people want the thing. It's like how much do they want the thing. There's substitution effect. The question is this worth the price to me? Not, and this doesn't apply
Right.
in places like healthcare and stuff, which is why I think you need the government there. But broadly speaking, for like consumer goods and stuff, it's not just a question of how many people want apples. It's how many people want apples at this price instead of oranges or bananas or something else.
Right, sure, but when you have competition, right? When you have competition and things are at equilibrium, the prices of the prices of the item, the prices of the items are going to model the prices of production. Would you agree with this statement?
Say it again.
Or no? The prices of the item are going to model prices of production. You agree with this or no?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So the cost it takes to produce an item, the cost of an item is typically going to model the cost that it takes to produce that item.
That's going to be a factor in it, yeah. Like you're saying,
Well,
people
it's-
have to break
well,
even when they
this is
produce
a-
something, yeah.
Well, this is how things are modeled. I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Cockshott. He talks about this. Prices of goods are modeled at prices of production.
Prices of
at least when
production
there's sufficient
are one
competition.
factor of multiple factors that would influence like the market price of a good.
If you have competition, then that's where prices are modeled, because if things are going to be driven down to the prices of production until they're
Yeah,
dead even.
in a perfectly competitive market, profits are supposed to trend to zero in the long run because you have like zero barrier to entry and no information asymmetry, and you have like infinite competition. Then people should be selling at a long run zero profit, even if short run profit is higher, because eventually you have to basically compete your way down to making no profit. But in the real world, this is not how markets actually would work.
That's how it works all the time. I mean, that's why the cost of toothpaste, for example, is so
Wait,
low. It's
how is
more
that
or
how
less
it works?
it's just how it works.
That would imply zero profit. What company is
look at
operating
the
on zero
tables.
profit?
Not entirely. No, you still make a profit, at least a certain portion of it, right? But here's the thing.
Wait, I
if
just
you
want
look
to
at
be clear on this. When I'm talking about in an ideal market with perfect competition, this is just like in an economics textbook. What's supposed to be the case is if you have perfect competition and infinite people can sell it and there's perfect information and all this stuff, then in the long run, profits trend to zero because anytime you sell something for a profit, someone's going to undercut you, and eventually the prices are going to move all the way down to the break even rather.
Yeah, I'm not saying that profits are zero. I'm saying that if you look at, again, there's a study done by Paul Cockshott that shows us that the correlation is unbelievably high between prices of production and the cost of the item itself.
Oh well,
right?
that would be necessitated. If you're selling something and the cost of making the thing is not a factor in what you sell it for, then that business would fail in like a day.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, but what I mean here is that prices of goods are modeled off of prices of production. That is the key determinant factor.
I would say prices of production are one of the factors that influence the price of a good that's set by the market.
Yeah, I mean,
but demand would also affect
obviously
that.
If there's more, right, supply and demand will also affect that, obviously. But I'm talking about if these two are at equilibrium.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I was going with this because we did have to clarify this here.
Sure.
But sure. What I'm talking about is that the prices of production directly model hours of labor that are involved in producing a commodity.
That
what
just seems like a narrowing that belies a lot of other really important factors and pretends like the only real relevant factor here is how many hours are being put into it, when there's like a million other factors that would also influence the market price.
I mean, it's if you look at, obviously there's a quite simple explanation here. It's like if there is more demand for an item than there is supply, obviously prices are going to be skewed. But prices do not always equal value. The value of an item can be much different than the price of an item, right? It's supply and demand that determines price, but the value of an item, the value of an item is based on the socially necessary amount of hours that go into producing that item. So when prices are at equilibrium, they model this true value.
You take that as a given, but I don't agree with the premise that the value of something is determined entirely by how many hours were put into it.
I mean, yeah.
why wouldn't the value be determined by like what the actual thing in question produces for society, right? Like when I think about what has value, for example, education or infrastructure or whatever, the value of that comes as a result of the impact that has on society and the social welfare function, not based on like how many hours it took to do the thing.
Well, something is not a commodity if it does not produce for any social use, or sorry, any like if something does not have demand, if something that is not demanded by people, then it's not a commodity.
I agree that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the value of it is not only determined by how many hours are put into it. That's where I'm not understanding your point.
What I'm saying is that it's a necessary precondition for something to be a commodity. That there's this is a theory of commodity price, or commodity prices and commodity values, not a theory of, a mud pie that I made in my backyard value. So that's the crucial thing.
So
here.
you would agree that the market value of something is determined by the cost of producing it and the desire for the thing.
Well, I think for something to even have a market value, there has to be desire for it. That's my opinion.
That's what I just said, right? It's a combination of both the cost of producing the thing and then how much people want said thing. Those two factors, when they come together, is what produces the market value of the thing.
I don't think it's coming together. I think one presupposes the other.
What do you mean?
Is my as in for an item to cost something in the market, it presupposes that the item is of use to people in the market, that it even has a market to sell to.
Well, yeah, if something has zero demand, then the market value for it would be zero. Yeah.
Right. Well, then it's no longer a commodity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
then here's your point here again. If something is a commodity, if it is of some sort of use to people, then it's the determining factor in how much this thing costs. If prices are at equilibrium, at least the determinant in its value.
What is your understanding of what equilibrium is?
Huh?
What is your understanding of what equilibrium is?
Well, I mean, we went over this earlier. It's like when the total amount of an item available. The total amount of an item available is equal to the total amount of people willing to pay for that.
Okay, so where supply equals demand, right?
Right.
Okay. Continue.
Sorry, I just took a bite of food.
You're fine.
But yeah, where I'm getting with this is that a labor time economy is completely possible, right? Like in which people are paid directly off of their labor. Off of the labor that they have.
And what would be the mechanism to determine how much they ought to be paid?
Well, I mean, for example, let's say you have a shoemaking factory.
Okay.
And, well, the equation for this, right, is P plus C plus L equals total production. So P plus C are in parentheses. It's fixed means of production, or maybe F plus C if you want to translate to English. But it's fixed means of production plus circulating means of production. Those are in parentheses, plus labor equals total production. And these are all measured in hours. The variable for every single one is hours. And the total production is divided by the units. Well, because this paints your picture of labor time. So let's say you have 1,000 hours worth of fixed means of production and 1,000 hours worth of circulating means of production used up in one production cycle. So that's 2,000 plus an additional 2,000 hours of labor. Mm-hmm. Then you have 4,000 hours of total production, right? And so when you divide that by the amount of units produced, let's say you in that time produce 2,000 shoes, then you're going to see that the average socially necessary labor time for one shoe is 2 hours of production. Not socially necessary.
The issue I have is you keep starting from the premise that like this ought to be the basic unit here is like number of hours, which I don't know, like where are you getting that from?
It's just because the amount of hours are.
Because I thought we agreed that like the number of hours is not what determines it. It's the cost of producing the thing, and then how much people want the thing, and then you could have something. You could have two things that cost the same amount of money, but the number of hours that go into producing them can vary differently.
Here's the thing, though: the cost of producing an item directly correlates to labor time. This is the study that I was mentioning earlier. That's it's very
well, not just time. It's also like the price of the labor. So like you could have workers working 5 hours or whatever, but then the wages could be different. That would affect the price of the good differently, right? So you could have, if you have like a super competitive market where there's like a bunch of businesses competing, and then one of the companies, in order to attract workers, they have to pay them $20 an hour. Those workers could work the same amount of hours as another company where the workers are paid way less, and the prices of the goods are going to sell are going to be different, because in one case, they're number one, facing a lot of competition in the market, and number two, their cost of production is now higher, which is going to push the prices up.
Yeah, sure, but there's nonetheless this incredibly direct correlation here. I need to find this study because I'm not sure.
I'm just giving an example of two situations where the number of hours being put in is identical, but then the market value of the thing can be very different across both situations.
Sure, yeah. All right, sorry, one second. I'm trying to find this this study here. I mean, it becomes quite logical if you think about it too, though. In terms of here, one sec. Like if you're stranded on an island, and there are certain things that you need to produce for your own use, obviously the way that you're going to chart your production is via labor time. How much time it costs to produce this thing, how much time it costs to produce that thing. But yeah, sorry, I'm finding the study. It's Paul Cockshot's study of input-output tables from, I don't know if it's going to let me access it, but it's a good study to look at.
What's his name, Paul what?
Paul Cockshot, funny name, I know.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't know if I misheard you.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
His theory of what?
Just look up Paul Cockshot input-output tables. That's all you need to see.
Paul Cockshot heavily utilizes and builds upon input-output tables, but they originate from the work of economist Wassily Leontief. In his book and research, Cockshot proposes using supercomputers and linear programming to perform real-time economic planning. This computational planning requires I/O tables to map the direct and indirect resource dependencies between different industrial sectors. Cockshot and Alan Cottrell co-authored research like testing Marx with input-output tables. They use modern I/O data to empirically test Karl Marx's labor theory of value, analyzing whether direct and indirect labor inputs accurately predict market prices. He developed a specific algorithmic planning model that re-engineers I/O data, replacing capitalist price-based structures with labor time calculations to balance consumer demand with production targets.
Yeah, so I don't agree with Cockshot's socialist model of production that he drew up, but the study is pretty crucial because it is an empirical proof of the labor theory of value, which I've evidently proved quite shit at demonstrating. But it's if you're truly interested in it, then it's definitely worth a look.
Like I'm just seeing here, standard I/O models assume fixed ratios of inputs to outputs, which struggles to account for rapid technological innovation or supply-side shocks, which is, I think, why markets are important. And critics argue that measuring everything strictly in labor time ignores subjective consumer utility, changing skill levels, and the complexity of pricing scarce natural resources, which I feel like
it
is what
doesn't
I was
at
saying
all.
earlier.
Well, yeah, because this Google write-up or whatever evidently doesn't understand the theory of socially necessary labor time.
Well,
Again,
I mean,
like
the critiques it's laying out are like the pretty much standard economics critiques of framing things in this way.
Right, but they don't even land squarely on the on the paper because it's not really what he claims. Like again, these time series hypotheses, if the skill of labor becomes higher, right, and it becomes easier to produce a certain item or a certain commodity rather, then the price is going to go down because that functions into the labor time equation as well. So that's kind of your answer there.
What about how I'm framing it do you disagree with? That the value of the thing in the market is going to be a function of how much it costs to produce the thing and then how much people want it. What's wrong with that?
I mean, I just think, to be honest, that it once you know that something is demanded in the market, like once you know that there's that demand, then something becomes a commodity, right? And further, the amount of value that's embedded within the commodity is the difference of hours contained within that commodity. Again, like,
but again,
for
like
the difference between the car
scarcity,
and the matchbox.
Scarcity of materials can change, education levels can change, technology can change. Then it's not
equilibrium.
Equilibrium is just wherever supply and demand end up meeting. Equilibrium doesn't have to be efficient.
But equilibrium inherently means that like when something meets at equilibrium, it's that there are a certain amount of people that want this item and a certain amount of this item to go
I'm saying
around.
Market equilibrium doesn't always mean it's an efficient market, right? It just ends up, equilibrium is just descriptively where supply meets demand, and that could be suboptimal. That could be bad, right? Like with healthcare, for example.
Sure. I mean, here. Let's look at the definition of equilibrium here.
Sure.
It's kind of getting
It's just where supply equals
a little
demand.
dicey here. Right. I mean, yeah. Again, if supply and demand equal each other, right, then it's going to be necessary that there are X amount of people that want to. The crucial thing here is that when things are at equilibrium, the price can no longer be. It can't be determined by supply and demand because the two things equal. The two things are equal, right? So crucially, this is back to the
equilibrium can change based on other factors.
Sure, it can change, right? But it that also presupposes a change in the labor time involved to produce a commodity. So if what factors are you saying change equilibrium?
Scarcity of materials, value of labor, shocks to demand and
But
supply,
again,
macroeconomic level, inflation. I mean, technology.
So something's not going to be at equilibrium though if there's a scarcity of things needs to make it.
Say it again.
It's just not scarcity. Like an item is not going to be at equilibrium if it is scarce. Like that's just by definition.
Well, no, the equilibrium would just be suboptimal, but equilibrium would just be where the supply and the demand would meet. Like, for example, in healthcare, we have equilibriums that are considered suboptimal because people's demand is so inelastic that they are willing to pay more than they would be if they had more elastic demand. And then the equilibrium ends up being suboptimal, which is why you create things like negative externalities and you need the government to come in.
Christ, there might be a language barrier or something. Like
Sure.
when I think of equilibrium, I think of
in like an economics textbook, like theoretically, it's like, oh, this is where you have market efficiency. But I'm just saying, in the real world, equilibrium in a market is just wherever supply happens to equal demand, and the factors that influence whether or not they equal each other, or where they equal each other rather, those can change, which can move equilibrium values around even within a given market.
Maybe we need to use another term here then, because what I mean by equilibrium is where supply and demand are proportional to each other, where they're directly equal to each other.
Well, that's what I'm saying as well. But I'm saying supply and demand being equal to each other, the actual value that they are equal to can change based on other factors. Like equilibrium can move up and down and like all around based on other things.
All right, let's.
Like the point I'm making is there's not like there's this one set equilibrium in a market and it can like never change and it's like some kind of universal law. Equilibrium is just where supply and demand happen to meet.
Yeah, but I mean, then that presupposes the fact that items are always at equilibrium, which they're not. Or like the cost of an item is not always at equilibrium. Do you believe that the cost of an item is always equal? Do you think that the cost of do you think that items are always at equilibrium?
What do you mean items are always at equilibrium?
Like, do you think that
markets will trend towards equilibrium because the directionality of markets?
But then the way you say that means that sometimes they're not at equilibrium. Is this true? If they trend towards equilibrium, that means some of the time they're not at equilibrium.
Oh, what is your point here?
Because if equilibrium is simply where supply and demand meet and not where they are equal, then that means that
wait, that's the same
supply
thing.
Supply and demand are always.
Hold on, that's the same thing. Where they meet, they would be equal. Like on the graph that have, if the lines intersect, their x and y value would be the same. Otherwise, they wouldn't be intersecting at that point.
Okay, so things are. Okay, so now we've cleared this up here. Like things are not always in equilibrium, right? When they're in equilibrium, there's the amount of buyers is proportional to the amount of that item sold. So like you're not gonna, if there are 100 people that want a loaf of bread and there are 2 loaves of bread, that's not at equilibrium. You agree with this?
That's just not how a market is a process over time. Like this is just not how markets work. For example, if bread is like $5 a loaf and then the supply of bread goes down immediately, the market is going to move towards a new equilibrium where the price of bread is way higher.
Christ, like if there are 100 people that want bread and there are only 2 loaves of bread, obviously you're not at equilibrium. That's my point here.
But that's not true. If there's 2 pieces of bread and 100 people want bread, and let's say that now bread is going for like $1,000, right? And you pause at that snapshot in time, the current equilibrium we're at, where demand is equal to supply. This is the whole principle of economics, is because the supply is now down, the equilibrium price has changed as a result of market conditions changing.
All right, maybe I'm going crazy here. I just looked it up. Like, if 100 people want bread and there are 2 loaves of bread available, is bread at equilibrium? And the answer is no, bread is not at equilibrium. I don't know if you want to look up another
Equilibrium,
example.
again, you can just look up basic. It's where supply equals demand.
But it's just not. It's just like there has to be.
And
all right,
markets move towards it, right? As market conditions change, prices fluctuate. Demand fluctuates. Willingness to pay fluctuates. Substitution effects can ebb and flow. Like, the market is a dynamic process over time. So to pause it in one instance and extrapolate from that belies what markets are. Markets are mechanisms which imply there is like a temporal aspect to it, right? If the supply of bread goes down, then wherever the market has cleared, that clearing price is going to change in accordance with the supply of the bread going down.
This is just. I maybe I'm going crazy here, but this is not the definition. Like, again, I've just looked it up again. Like,
just be clear.
If 100 loaves of bread are available and the market is at equilibrium, then exactly 100. Then there are going to be exactly 100 loaves that are wanted by
you're
consumers.
disagreeing with me that equilibrium is where supply equals demand?
It's where supply equals demand, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but that's not. It's not necessarily where they meet, because they for example, like you can
on a
have
graph
things that
where they equal each other
just-
is where they would meet.
Just look this up. Like maybe I fail to understand graphs. You know, I'm not the best in math.
That's fine.
But when there are 100, like, equilibrium is when there are 100 loaves of bread and 100 loaves of bread that are wanted by consumers. Like that's what equilibrium is. You can look it up for yourself.
Say that again?
Like, equilibrium is when there are 100 loaves of bread available and 100 loaves of bread wanted by consumers.
That's not how you graph willingness to pay. That's not how you model these things. When you're looking
it's
at
not fact.
when you're looking at demand for pay, you have like a willingness to pay line, which is a demand line, which is for how much are you willing to pay for a piece of bread that's going to have a certain slope. Then you're going to have the converse line in terms of the supply side, in terms of how much are they willing to sell for, and wherever those two lines meet is what the market price of that thing is going to be. That's where the
but
market is going to clear.
Market prices are not always at equilibrium, though.
Equilibrium is just where the market clears. Like, I don't understand what you're not getting.
But it's not, like, if there's a monopoly price on something, then it's ultimately not a it's not going to be at equal, or sorry, Christ. But my point is that, like,
you're talking about textbook. You're talking about textbook like static equilibrium. This is not how like a real market works.
Equilibrium.
Where supply equals demand.
It's because markets aren't always at equilibrium.
Because you understand, like, economics textbooks assume like perfect information and perfect competition, all these theoretical constraints. In the real world, the equilibrium is just market clearing.
Well,
and markets will clear in accordance with demand and supply fluctuations.
The definition of equilibrium does not change in the real world. What changes is how often markets are at equilibrium. In your textbook, you will see that markets naturally are going to be at equilibrium. These are the perfect conditions assumed. However, in the real world, it's not that equilibrium assumes a different definition, as you suggest. It is that markets simply aren't always at equilibrium.
I don't think you're understanding how these graphs.
I don't think you're understanding how this works.
I have an economics degree. Maybe it was fake or something. I don't know.
Dude, I'm glad you have an economics degree, but ultimately, when it comes to the question of equilibrium, it seems to be that you're getting it wrong.
So equilibrium is not where supply meets demand. It's not.
Wait, okay, then the way you say that
Can
makes.
you just give me like a yes or no on that?
Say it again.
Is equilibrium where supply and demand are equal?
Yes, in the sense that if there's X amount of an item available, and Y amount of consumer desire for that item, as in the two are directly equal. So markets a lot of the time are not at equilibrium. A lot of the time there's more supply than demand, and a lot of the time there's more demand than supply. You agree with this?
More demand than supply?
Yes, yeah, more demand than supply. Like, if 200 people want a car,
yeah,
and
that would push prices up. Yeah, and then the market would clear at a higher price because the slopes of the lines have changed.
Sure, but it's not equilibrium though, because there are still going to be the same amount of people wanting a car and the same amount of cars for sale.
I don't think you. Again, I thought you agreed with me on what equilibrium is, but now you're giving a different definition of equilibrium.
Maybe, dude, I don't know how much or how I can explain this. Like, I don't know what the disagreement is here. Like,
You know the
you described this in a-
typical like the graph, and it's like the middle point is equilibrium. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
What is your understanding of what each of those lines is?
Let's see. Let me look up economics, like or supply and demand graphs, real quick, because I need to visualize this evidently. And demand graph, Christ. Yeah. So I mean, so you're looking at supply curve and demand curve, and then the immediate equilibrium.
And do you know what the supply and demand curve are showing in that graph? Like what they represent?
Yeah, it's what's the amount of an item demanded by the consumers, and then the supply of that item.
It's not the amount of the item demanded; it's the willingness to pay for the item, and then like the willingness to sell at a certain price. And then when the willingness of what you're willing to pay and the willingness of what they're willing to sell it for, when those intersect, that would be where the market clears.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if it were graphed like that, then you wouldn't even have variables on the x-axis of the graph. You would just have want to pay, or don't want to pay, want to pay even more, really want to pay. It's not quantifiable the way in which you're describing it.
Willingness to pay on a graph just shows that, for example, if I have a pencil in a market, right, the willingness to pay $100 for that pencil is zero. No one's paying $100 for that pencil. The willingness to pay $0 for that pencil is fucking maximum. Everyone would love to get it for free. And on the flip side, on the producer side, they would love to charge infinity for the pencil, and they definitely will not sell a pencil if it's $0. And the place where those two incentive structures intersect is where the market would end up clearing.
Yeah, maybe there's something I'm not understanding here. To be honest with you, I have quite a bit of work to do.
Okay.
Sorry, my the battery on my phone was declining. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting discussion. I'm gonna suggest that you read Marx, and I'm gonna suggest to myself that I maybe read more about economic theory myself, or orthodox economic theory, and then maybe we both come out of this with something.
Okay.
But yeah, have a good one, man.
You too.
You too.
That conversation started productive, but the ending there, I just the market clearing price will change as elasticity and market conditions change in accordance with technology and a whole bunch of other factors. So if he's talking about consumer and producer surplus that's left on the table, then we're getting into a question of externalities and a whole other situation. But were people following that, or did that get like a little bit too abstract? Yeah, someone on YouTube made a good point. Guest thinks equilibrium is when we produce exactly as much of a good as we need. Maybe tell him equilibrium only has to do with the price of a good and not necessarily good for society. I'd go a step beyond. Exactly as much of a good as we need is not like a set in stone thing. That is going to change over time, right? The amount of fucking buggies we needed to attach to a horse, that changed as cars came into the picture, right? The amount of iPhones we need is going to change as Android phones compete with them. You don't understand. You just got to read more theory, bro. True. I thought the only disagreement was the demand versus the people willing to pay the price. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of lost the plot towards the end of like what he was disagreeing with me on, because first he said he agreed with my definition of what equilibrium is, but then he just 2 seconds later would like say something different, which is that it's not an equilibrium if everyone who wants it doesn't get it, I guess. Oh. Let's see if we have any news to react to. Make sure you guys are double tapping the screen, following up above, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter, all that stuff. Lock in. Okay, 1 second. Are there any news stories you want me to cover? I know there's like the Trump IRS thing. We could also just go over my policy platform thing, and people were asking for me to make like an agenda for 2099 or for 2029. Massey election. I saw someone in the chat saying Massey lost. Is this true? He's behind, but only 4% is in. Okay, yeah, so then it's way, way too soon to tell. What are the betting markets? I'll just pull it up. The IRS can no longer audit Trump and his family. Yeah, I saw they put out this huge fucking statement, and what's his name, Todd Blanche. The fact that the entire Department of Justice has just become like the Trump law firm, like every single high-ranking official is one of Trump's own personal lawyers who defended him against like serious charges of criminality, and now they are the arbiters of what the federal government is going to choose to go after legally, is fucking crazy to me. The fact that Emile Beauvais, the guy who said if the judge tells us no, we're going to tell the judge fuck you, the fact that that guy is now a federal judge is crazy to me. Man, am I the only one though when I read this now and I see this and it's just like, fuck, bro. I'm so used to it now. Like this shit should be hitting harder, but it's just like another day in the fucking office. Stop running. Let's debate, bro. I don't know who you are. We can debate.
Yo, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up? How old are you?
18.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Executive Order 14201, and he's typically in favor of reducing the number of elective abortions.
EO 14201.
Yeah.
Let's pull that up. Keeping men out of women's sports. Just to be clear, if you had to vote in the 2024 election, you'd vote for Trump over Kamala Harris?
In virtue of keeping men out of women's sports, yes.
Is that like the most important issue?
That and he's in favor of reducing the number of elective abortions.
Okay, so would that outweigh so you want like less people to die, I'm guessing? That's why you want like less abortions?
Yeah, I think that's like the end goal.
Okay, so how many abortions per year do you think we'd be having under Kamala Harris versus Trump? Like I'm assuming you think there's going to be more under Kamala?
I couldn't say because Kamala wasn't president. But
relatively speaking, you think there'd be more abortions though under her, right?
Yeah.
And that's bad because it's, under your view, more people dying?
Under my word, yeah, that would be true.
Well, Trump's cuts to USAID alone are projected to kill 14 million people who could have from preventable disease and illness and hunger. And even if you do 2 million abortions a year times 8 years of Kamala Harris, then it's still barely equal. It gets to 16 million at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you just want to compare the death count between Trump and Kamala, more people are going to suffer and die under Trump than Kamala Harris.
You're talking about, you have a hypothesis in hand saying that, it's probably going to be the case. That
no, I can pull up the Lancet study on this.
Well, we don't know if that's going to be the true end goal there.
Well, we know that
Now,
Trump
I
cut
can
off
give you a
preventable
trivial end goal.
disease, vaccine,
A trivial
and
end goal
food
would
aid.
be overturning Roe v. Wade and reducing the number of states that, give women access
Well,
to
Roe v. Wade was
abortions.
overturned, so that's happened.
Yeah, the Roe v. Wade was overturned, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously there's actually been more abortions ever since Roe v. Wade was overturned. But
Mhm.
That's just going to be a result of a reaction that women have towards new knowledge that they have, right? Because
Okay.
that's how people act in certain ways. But I think it's going to be on the trajectory towards a decline, right? And I think that hypothesis is justified in virtue of the fact that you reduce the number of states that give women access to elective abortion.
Sure, just to clarify your
Reduce
position.
the number of women who get access.
Okay,
to
just to clarify your position, if you agreed with the premise that more people would die under Donald Trump than Kamala Harris, would that make Kamala Harris better?
No, that doesn't follow. I'm not a
So then
utilitarian.
why is the
nor-
number of abortions taking place part of the calculus?
No, that doesn't follow. You see what you just said? Oh, if you knew that there's going to be more people that were going to unalive in this case. Well, what if I knew that, suppose that on face value you say, oh, well, if you vote for this person, 10 million people are going to unalive. If you vote for this person, 0 people are going to unalive. And then I said, oh, I'm going to vote for the person that's 0. But then I don't know the actual knowledge of why this person's unaliving 10 million people. Oh, well, he's unaliving 10 million, I don't know, these gang lords or whatever. That
Well,
are
the
gonna unalive
USAID 14 million is like poor, hungry, and sick people in like Africa and Asia who have been cut off from vaccines and medicine and food aid. I don't
in Africa, you said?
And Asia, I believe. Anywhere where USAID was sending food aid. So a lot of this is like vaccines, a lot of this is food aid, HIV testing, a bunch of different things. And the Lancet has predicted that 14 million people will die from preventable causes.
You think like United States has some sort of like legal or moral obligation?
Well, that's a different question now than what we were just discussing.
Well, no, it's,
I'm just
it's
comparing the
relevant
death
to
count
what
of like Kamala Harris's abortion, whatever, versus Trump's cuts to USAID alone.
hmm Well, no. So here's going to be the distinction in those cases. So obviously, like I said, you're saying that, oh, well, he's not giving any food to them, therefore, well,
He cut it
I
off. They
believe
were
that
getting it,
humans,
and then he
well,
ended the
humans
program.
have, well, yeah, humans have this thing called, what is it called? Like the survival instinct or whatever.
Okay.
Essentially, so even those individuals in Africa, if there's
Uh-huh.
no more food coming in from the United States,
hmm
then they would find a way to get food, right? Because it's just what humans do.
Or they would
Humans find
fucking starve and die,
That's one
which is where
hypothesis. I think that's like the less favorable hypothesis. I think like ultimately the view would lend credence in favor of the hypothesis that the individuals would go out and seek
you
food
think
or
we're sending
whatever in
food
order
aid to people who could just like otherwise easily get food, and we're just doing it for like shits and giggles, or? And what about for vaccines and like disease prevention? Are they going to create a vaccine?
Well, no, you have Chads like Mr. Beast.
Oh.
All right, Chad lights. I was pushing it with Chads.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Chad lights
philanthropy
like
is great as well. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have government programs too.
Well, no, that doesn't
Wait, do you
follow.
genuinely think if like we're giving aid to an area where there's like a lot of starving people and we stop giving them food, that they'll just be fine because they'll just like find food somehow from somewhere? Like
Yeah, I
people
think
don't
that's-
die from starvation
I
ever?
think I know people do, but I think that even the people that do die from starvation, I feel like it's either sit there and die from starvation
hmm
or die trying to not starve.
I would like to propose a third option where we just let people have basic stuff like food and vaccines so they can actually build a life and work and go to school and have a family. And they're not fucking scrounging for fucking scraps and shit. Why does that have to be
Socialist, am I right? Am I right, chat? So yeah, socialism is going to be like prima
Wait,
facie.
are you trolling?
No.
You think you just saw me debate some like Marxist dude and now I'm a
No.
socialist? Or?
No, I'm not a Trump fan. I am pro-life and I am obviously.
But you said you would support Trump over Kamala Harris, right?
No, I know. I just did that so I can debate you on abortion and gender.
So you would
critical.
support Kamala Harris over Trump?
I don't really support either one of them. To be
If
honest,
someone
but,
put a pew-pew to your head and made you pick, who are you picking?
probably Kamala.
Oh.
All right.
Okay. Man. J Fox. Bro, what is the roster I'm getting today in the guest requests? J Fox. J Fox in the guest request. Are you a Trump supporter, sir? That's the first. I've never, if you cut off food aid, they'll just find the food somewhere else. I have to admit, I never considered that. That's crazy. Mr. Fox, Mr. J Fox, I see you in the guest requests. J Fox to aisle 11 for cleanup. Hello? If you're a Trump supporter, I can let you hop on. We can have a quick chat about why you support an authoritarian dumb person. Having empathy with socialists. Dude, I've like, you know what I've noticed? And I guess this isn't surprising. Right-wingers call me like a socialist and shit, and then like super left tanky people call me like a fucking capitalist shill. And I'm like, it makes me question what I am. Because I'm like, but both sides think I'm like too far in one direction. It's interesting to me, but that just, by the way, that just means I'm based as fuck. So that's what that means. Hey, how old are you?
I am 17.
Should have lied. Should have lied about your age, bro. Social liberalism. I don't know. I think we need some hybrid of like social democracy and like state capitalism. If they had a baby, but then you insert individual rights and freedoms because you don't want to go too far in the statist direction, and then people no longer have fucking basic rights. We're already moving in that direction when it comes to free speech and due process and a million other things. Have you taken the test? What is the test? I'll take a test, sure. Or do we want to go through and work on Project 2029? We want to lock in and create an agenda for the Democrats? Massey losing right now. Tell more about Trump donating 10 billion tax dollars to the Board of Peace. What is there to tell, bro? It's a fucking... what? How fucked? Like, it gets to a point, dude. It gets to a point where I'm like, I don't have the energy to be shocked and outraged anymore. Even though I should be. But I just, like, physically cannot conjure it up. Like, I just... This is just what life is now, which is fucking insane, but... I hate to be defeatist. But it's like... No one's doing anything, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening. You gotta be shocked and horrified by the slush fund, though, but it's like, dude, the president of the United States threatened fucking genocide a few weeks ago, and he was asked, will you rule out bombing schools and hospitals? And he said, I don't want to tell you that. I can't process anything after that about anything. That the leader, the most powerful man on earth, looked at the camera and said, I am not going to rule out bombing schools and hospitals. And by the way, it's genocide time. That's so fucking crazy. That is so crazy. And we just all moved on. We just that was just another week. And now we're talking about financial corruption. And now we're talking about giving money to terrorists from January 6th and going after his political opponents and calling for the death of all these other... Like, it's like, I don't know. It's important. I talk about it. I make videos about it. But it's like, it feels physiologically impossible to conjure up the level of alarmism and justified panic and outrage and anger, the level that is required of the moment we're in. I'm not seeing it from anyone, including myself, because it's like, if you were as angry and upset as you should be based on what's going on, like, this country would be in the midst of a fucking revolution of some kind. Like, this is just so beyond the pale. It is so beyond the pale. And it's just a topic for our CNN panel this week. Tune in for fucking Scott Jennings to talk about how it's the art of the deal. For some reason, we're commercializing it and commodifying it that Trump's a fucking genocidal maniac, and we're talking about what's the budget for the advertisements for the midterms in Ohio. It's like, I just feel like we're not operating at the level we need to be operating at, you know. Bravo B, are you a Trump supporter? How do you think the financial suffering is intentional because people can't pay attention? And yeah, I haven't even gotten into the fucking... And yeah, the voting rights thing, dude. It's so crazy. Like, I don't know. And this is another thing where it's like, bro, we just undid a massive part of the civil rights movement. The thing that everyone just treated as a given. This is the new baseline. This is the new floor. That actually black people have rights like everyone else. Shocking, I know. Now you have all these southern states that are just explicitly going to draw lines based on race, and this is just 2026. This is just what it is. And the full extent of the pushback is going to be some kind of panel on CNN about, is this racist or is it this is just partisan gerrymandering? What the fuck, bro? What's up, Dan? Shout out, Dan. Simulation ending shortly. Just hang on to sanity for... Hang on to... Y'all can still see your sanity, let alone fucking hang on to it? Damn. Lucky. Lucky. Lucky you. I'm just fucking powering through the insanity. There's a saying in boxing, bite down on your mouthpiece. If you're getting your shit rocked or you just feel like super fucking tired, it's like, nah, bro, you have to just fucking endure and fucking push forward. But at a certain point, it's like we're fucking crawling our way towards the finish line with no arms or legs. We're fucking inching like a worm. Like, if we lived in a sane country, I'm going to be careful. If this was happening in Minecraft, hypothetically, and nothing I'm about to say is analogous to the real world, by the way, but if this situation was happening in Minecraft or some kind of video game, in a just world, in a game created by developers who are not insane, every single blue governor would be exhausting every single novel legal theory to keep tax revenue from the federal government in a video game, to start forming interstate compacts, essentially moving towards some kind of secession-ish type of situation. Not hard secession, soft secession. Like, but no, we're writing letters. We're writing letters. So cool. I still have hope. My hope is that shit is so fucked that it's going to have to produce something better, but honestly, when I look at the pushback, I'm not very inspired. I'm not going to lie. Like, I would feel more heartened if there was like a mass social movement of like 70% of the country that is fucking locked in. That's fucking like this, moving in lockstep, in coordination. But it's fucking Marxists versus leftists versus Chuck Schumer versus Ken Martin versus Destiny versus Hassan Piker versus fucking MAGA Warrior 123 versus Cenk Uygur versus Tucker. We're just so fucked. There's like 30 different factions, and all of them think that like they have it figured out, and like I'm gonna be the one that rises from the ashes and takes over the new world. It's like, okay, buddy. Everyone has their little fucking 12% coalition, and they think like this is gonna spearhead like the new world order. And it's like, okay, bro, yeah, we're cooked. We're cooked. Like, bro, I open Twitter, I want to fucking kirk myself. It just everyone is just like, look at Hungary, bro. The Hungary guy, isn't he like a center right guy? Am I tripping? He's like center right, but he won like fucking what, 60-70% of the vote because they did this thing called like coming together in the face of fascism, right? It's called unifying against a common enemy, and like, oh, you want ACA expansion instead of single payer. You want a public option instead of ACA expansion? Now we're on fucking different teams because of that. It's just Meanwhile, the opposition are actual demons, and the opposition are fucking locked in with each other. They're locked in. I mean, the full extent of their internal divisions is like, how racist and sexist do we want to be? That's and even then they hold their nose and they vote. Like, what is it, 77 million or 75 million? Something. Too many people voted for Donald Trump this election. We need to stop playing by the rule. Oh my God, I'm so glad you said this, Rebecca. This refrain of, if they break the rules, we have to break. No. There are no rules anymore. It's not that the rules stop existing when they're broken. Now they're gone. Now we're in a different paradigm. It's no longer the rules thing going on. This is no longer this is a constitutional republic and we have rights, and this is like an active hostile takeover of the United States government on the federal level by a criminal terrorist organization. And that's not hyperbole. It's not. It's literally not. It's the equivalent of like fucking Venom when he fucking takes over a new host, and we're just sitting there like, oh, this is still Spider-Man. This isn't fucking. I don't know if that analogy makes any sense, but this is not the same type of thing that it was before Trump came into power. And I don't even know if we can really call this like. Man, I've got some novel legal theories, man. I've got some the president has authority vested in him through the Constitution in accordance with constitutional parameters. If someone actively says, terminate the Constitution, and multiple federal judges have ruled, you purposefully violated the Constitution, and he says shit like, he who saves his country violates no law, is that still the legitimate president as defined by the Constitution? And if not, what are we dealing with here? If that's not the legitimate federal government, and it is a criminal organization that has taken the reins of state power, what are we doing? What's up?
Hey, I'm not going to be long. I just wanted to commend you for, right when I got in, I heard something that I think was a really, I can't speak for the other 82 people here, but I imagine they feel the same way. Or could you stop for 1 second? I imagine they feel the same way, where you said it doesn't feel physiologically possible to express the alarmism that is required for the moment we're in.
Yep.
And I genuinely feel that way. Like I can't express it in words anymore at this point. Like I had to stop going live, because if I expressed what you are describing, I'd be committed. Like it's
Yeah.
unreal what is taking place.
Yeah.
And like you said, we didn't even have to go into the new corruption thing. What I just read right before popping into this live from was it from Todd Blanche? The thing where like the third
Todd Blanche, yeah.
point is that number 3 sentence genuinely
Yeah.
is the first time I've been surprised. I was like, okay, all right, this is,
And
that's
even the
wild.
fact that Todd Blanche, the Attorney General, that's just what that is now. The president's personal lawyer who defended him in crimes he committed against the U.S. government is now in charge of the law enforcement arm of the U.S. government. It's like, it's fucking bizarro world. It's just so crazy.
I do have one, but before I let you go, I have one
Yeah.
piece of good news for everybody.
Okay, thank God.
One piece of good news. All right, now, if you read what I'm referring to, right, it absolves the Trump family of all investigations
Yep.
and audits and whatever. But what that means is that Donald Trump's taxes are finally not audited, so he will be releasing those tax returns like he promised in 2015. Okay.
Damn. 6-dimensional chess move.
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah, he has
I
no
will
more
go live
excuse,
for
you're
the
right.
release of his taxes.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to basically I just wanted to agree more than just a comment in chat. I wanted to express how much you're speaking to my soul when you say that. Like, it's not it's so far beyond anything that we can fathom. And like you said, it's let's talk. The fact that Scott Jennings is able to, Scott Jennings is the name, right? Is able to just go on and try to sanitize this.
The fact that he can leave his house and not get publicly laughed at and berated for being a fucking loser is like, what kind of society do we even live in at that point?
Yeah, and then when you describe like the divisions on the left and everything, and it's like if there was ever a time to unite in any way, shape, or form, I'm convinced if aliens ever came down, we're cooked in any way.
They're gonna see us and be like, nah, we're out of here. These people are fucked. We're going back home.
Let them take us.
Honestly, I wish, yeah. Unironically, if an alien civilization was advanced enough to come here, they would see how dysfunctional we are and be like, yeah, we're just going to let these guys go extinct. We're just going to not deal with this.
It would be for our own benefit, to be honest.
Probably. Probably.
But yeah, that's all. Just misery loves company, I guess. So.
Well, I would say cheer up and everything's going to be okay, but I can't say that in good faith. But what I can say is lock in. We got to lock in. Whatever's coming, whether we're smiling or crying, we got to lock in. That's all I know.
All right, man. Well, I look forward to seeing you in the gulags.
The gulag.
Have a good one.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.
If you guys are not already following Dan, make sure you are. Legend. Top 3 favorite. He's man, Dan. You should go live more often. He's goated. He really is goated. See, then you have this dude, inferior racist, trying to invade our lands. It's like human beings, we evolved from living in fucking trees and hitting each other with sticks and pillaging and looting. And like we develop language and like global interconnectedness, and we develop civilizations and the automobile and the internet. And there's a sizable portion of the country that's like light reflects off your skin a certain way. You are born in like a certain area that determines your value as a person. Get fucked. Oh wow, yeah. Society's come so far, hasn't it? That these dumb fucks think that like the operative question in society functioning is like the proportions of your fucking nose and your face color and like these random fucking things that have nothing to do with anything, by the way. I miss when the right pretended to be colorblind. Remember the pre-Trump, I don't see color. Whether you're purple, black, or white, it's all the same to me. We're all people. I would fucking prefer that to whatever the fuck they're doing now. Where they're like, your parents were born in a different place than my parents? You're fucking evil and stinky. Okay, bro, cool. Yeah, you want a fucking like a fucking pacifier and a little toy while you're in your crib? Like, what are we doing? Why are we operating at the mental sophistication level of like a 3-year-old? And I didn't even get to that aspect, bro. Trump could lose and Democrats take back everything. Like, legitimate, actual, dangerous racism is on the rise, bro. This Chud the Builder guy, and he has fucking fans. Like, there are millions of people in this country who are like, yep, the blacks and browns, they either gotta fucking die or they gotta go. And that's just the world we live in now. And it's like all these people who are obsessed with do you know what the average IQ is over here? All these same people, bro, you could put them all in one place and add up their IQ and maybe you hit the double digits. Maybe you hit 10 or 11. Stop invading our country. This is more than politics. Okay, bro. Cool. Like, change your diaper or something. Like, what? How old are you? Like, what? This is such a... like, there are certain conservatives who are like wrong and bad, but they still have a brain, right? Like a Vivek Ramaswamy, right? He fleshes out arguments that are bad and wrong arguments. A lot of these people are just fucking mouth breathing, nose picking, just, yeah, that guy over there looks funny, talks funny, fucking evil. And it's like, bro, your fucking brain is like spilling out of your nose and your ears. Like, who invited you to the conversation? Oh, you think Nick Shirley is the fucking pinnacle of intelligence? Okay, bro, you can go over there in the fucking kids area and play in the ball pit, okay? The adults are trying to fucking save democracy. Oh, man. What are we doing? What's the move? What are we... Am I wrapping up the live? Are we reacting to something? Or do y'all want to see... Let me do a quick poll. Let's do a quick poll. Is it bad to say that, like, this has been a recent thing with me? I, like, don't give much of a fuck about, like, nuance anymore. In the sense that, like, details don't matter when the big picture stuff is so fucked. And, like, even stuff like the Thomas Massey thing, I don't know why. I just, like, I don't really give a fuck about who wins that. Like, that to me feels like such, I don't know, like, window dress, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, like, burnt out or something, but it's, like, I don't, it's hard for me to care about any of this stuff anymore when it's, like, first of all, attention spans are fucking milliseconds long now. So even if all we were talking about is just what Trump, if the only bad stuff that Trump did was the stuff that he did in his first week in office, that alone would be fucking insane. Insane. But it's just an endless onslaught of all this different shit. Stop yapping, yawn. Bro, why are you listening to me yapping then? You can scroll. It's my live. Bro, why is it so many mouth breathers? Oh, at least he's in the guest box. Okay, maybe he's not a mouth breather. Maybe he's not. Let's Are you a Trump supporter, Fawcett? If you're a Marxist, I'm done, bro. If you're a Trump supporter, MAGA guy, you can hop on. We can talk. He's the worst. Why? What do you do? As long as he's not want to hop on and say the N-word, I have a suit and tie on. Of course I'm a Republican. Okay, bro. Hey, how old are you?
29. But yeah, of
And
course
you
I'm a
support
Republican.
Trump?
Yeah, of course I'm a Republican. Most
Okay,
Democrats
why?
only wear the suit as like a joke or like when they're working. But like I wear
Cool.
this like regularly. So
Good job. So why do you think that Trump is like better than Democrats, I guess?
I mean, better than the Democratic candidate for 2024. I mean,
Sure,
like
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, why?
Are we really going to go down this rabbit hole? You really think Kamala Harris would be a better president right now than Donald Trump?
Yes.
Stop
The fuck?
laughing. You can lie to me, but not to yourself. Why would you let her? Like, I'd let her husband be a better president than her.
Let's
like,
see.
come on now.
Let's see. She wouldn't threaten genocide. She wouldn't lock up her political opponents and threaten them with death. She wouldn't destroy free speech and due process rights. I mean, there's a laundry list here.
Okay, this girl prosecuted Michael Jackson. I want her to rot in hell. She was literally on the Michael Jackson. Are you out of your mind? The King of Pop?
Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck about Michael Jackson? You see, this is how I know.
In deciding the fucking president of the United States?
Yeah, this is called democracy, where
He's
I can
like,
vote.
right-wing authoritarian who's corrupt, or a woman who was mean to Michael Jackson in a courtroom once? I know the answer here, bro. What? Are you trolling right now?
No. But legitimately, look inside your heart, right? Did Michael Jackson actually do the things he was accused of doing?
I don't really know.
Exactly. Kamala Harris should have known and looked inside her heart and said, you know what, I'm not going to prosecute this dude because he didn't actually do those things to those kids. That's how I know Donald Trump is more morally righteous than Kamala Harris, because not only is she not a mother, she doesn't care about the King of Pop. So, like, that's just, that's my epistemology just off the rip on why Kamala Harris would not be a good president.
That's your epistemology. Michael Jackson is your epistemology. Okay, cool.
I mean,
if
let's
the
be real here.
metric for success is did they or did they not prosecute Michael Jackson, if that's the metric for success of a president, then good W for you, I guess. Good job. But I tend to think there are other criteria we should grade on, but maybe that's just me.
Bro really thinks the GOAT is worth arguing over. No, Michael Jackson's the GOAT. He didn't do it. But
Of
no, hold on.
music, sure, yeah.
Hold on. This goes to show that Kamala Harris will just prosecute literally anyone if it helps her bankroll. Donald Trump's not about that. You're literally telling me in 2005 you'd prosecute Michael Jackson?
I don't know the specifics of the case.
Oh, I'm sorry. The man's been dead for 17 years and you don't know about the Jordan Chandler case or any other case that's been brought up against him?
Bro, I was fucking 7 or 8
Bro.
years old when he died. Like, you want me to go read the
Okay,
indictment?
Go do a
or like,
Wikipedia search. Go do a Wikipedia search. I'll be back when you're
I
done with
don't
that.
really give a fuck. He's the goat of music, whether or not he's... Oh, he just ran away. Okay. What? Trump supporter here? Okay. Cool. I'll let you on. Hey, how old are you?
I am 18.
And... Damn, deep-ass voice for 18. You support Trump?
Yes, I do.
And please tell me your reason for supporting him. Is it related to Michael Jackson?
No, it's not.
Okay, what's the reasoning?
I follow him because he's the president that most represents my values and my
What
beliefs,
values would those be, sir?
family values and Christian values.
Portraying yourself as Jesus and being a serial cheater who constantly insults people when they're at their lowest points, whether they're sick or they die, and threatening them with jail is like Christian values and like love or whatever?
Now, this is what's the difference between Democrats and Republicans.
Okay.
With the Republicans, I can disagree with certain things that he does. The thing with the Jesus poster on, was it Truth Social?
Yeah.
Yeah, Truth Social. I didn't agree with that, man. But in general, I'm just saying...
Isn't that blasphemy as a Christian?
It may be, but we're not sure. Let me just say I'm not sure that what he was doing, because he said it was a doctor thing or what.
But we both know
acting as if
that he wasn't a doctor in that picture, right?
It kind of resembles Jesus.
Have you ever been to a hospital where the doctor walks in with the Jesus fit?
I have been.
Which hospital are you going to where the doctors dress up like Jesus Christ?
No, I'm not saying I have been to the hospital. I'm saying that I have been to a hospital, but not that one that people dress up as Jesus.
Same here. I tend to agree with you. Doctors actually don't dress like that. I think it's pretty clear that he was Jesus in that photo. And again, like, it's fine if you don't care about that, but if your reason for supporting him is Christian values and family values, this is like a blasphemous person who
just
cheats on his
Christian, not
wife constantly.
Not just Christian. I don't know about the cheating on his wife now.
Well, it's true.
I'm
He
just
has.
saying, if for the reason that I'm supporting him for Christian values,
Hmm.
it was because of the alternative of supporting him. Who was
Kamala
it?
Harris.
Like, yes.
What's
He
wrong
has-
with Kamala
he-
Harris?
I'm saying that Kamala Harris, let me just say the left, not just Kamala Harris, they represent values that I don't believe in.
Like what?
LGBTQ. I don't believe in that.
Do you believe in freedom?
I believe in freedom.
Well, that's what that is, right? The
Don't-
freedom to love who you want and dress how you want and talk how you want. That's freedom. You don't have to like it
But
or do
not
it, but
pushing
it's...
it on kids. But
Huh?
not pushing it on kids.
Who's-
not indoctrinating
Did Kamala
kids.
Harris run on pushing things on kids?
No, I'm just saying the pride movement. It's making it as if it's a movement that's
Well, it's
about
a response to like the decades of social stigma against being gay, and it's saying, hey, if you're gay or whatever, you shouldn't have to feel ashamed of that. You should just be able to live your life and just do your own thing.
we don't see it that way. We see it as something that's being influential to the children.
Well, isn't that because the right wing and the Republicans in this country, they constantly exaggerate and lie and try to scare people and act like the immigrants are coming for you, the gay people are coming for you?
Actually, let me just say, I'm not actually in America right now.
Okay,
I'm in South Africa.
okay.
I'm a South African. I'm just saying I'm a supporter all the way from Africa.
Okay.
And I was just saying that I may not have all the context, but all I know is that I respect the right more than the left, because on what they are doing with these things of transgender and
What are they
I
doing?
don't believe- they're pushing it on kids.
How?
Like, you see, if allowing children to do so and then embedding it into children's knowledge.
Allowing
such as
children to do what?
the left was allowing transition medication to be applied to kids. You know that, right?
The left doesn't decide that. That's like a medical decision that a doctor would make.
No, I'm not saying they allowed it, made it legal. It was legal before Trump made it illegal.
I'm saying if a doctor was giving anything to anyone, that would be a decision of the doctor, not like the Democratic Party.
No, I'm just saying it was legal under them, and now it's illegal under Trump.
Okay, why is that a good thing?
Why is that a good thing? Because it's going to prevent more children and give them more time to consolidate in their sexuality.
Sure, but just to be
I don't-
clear, if a child says they're a transgender or something along those lines, the first step there is not to just pump them full of hormones. They usually would get therapy and like a lot of counseling, and in many cases the first thing they might do is try to make them feel comfortable in their gender, and if that doesn't work, then there's other steps. But giving someone surgery or hormones is like a very, very, very last step if nothing else works and the doctor feels it's necessary to improve the quality of life of the person. And that's a decision
But I
made by
don't-
the doctor, not like Kamala Harris.
But I don't believe that's a decision that should be made by a child.
No, but by the parents
That
and the
should say-
doctor. The child shouldn't be able to decide on their own, obviously. No one's arguing that.
Yeah, I'm saying that no permanent actions must be taken to do something to a child that's irreversible.
What if there is a child who is transgender and they are so negatively affected by it that they want to take their own life? And the only way to prevent them from taking their own life is to give them hormones. Would you want them to take their own life or take the hormones?
I believe that it's their parents' fault that such a thought would come to their
Whatever
child's
the
mind.
fault is, whose fault it is, you're presented with that situation. And they say this kid either is going to have serious mental health issues and be at a higher risk of suicidality, or they're going to take these hormones or do this or that. What are you picking in that situation?
Not giving her or him hormones or anything like that.
Even if it
but
means they take their
trying
own
to
life as a
die.
result.
Not in that man. I'm just saying.
The
Just
point
look
I'm
for
making is that
alternatives.
those topics
Just try to
of
find
hormones and stuff would only come up if it was like really that serious, if it's a minor.
So can you just elaborate in the scenario you are giving to me now?
Okay.
The
So-
scenario
so
you are telling me about.
When-
How
when-
is it
when it
ever
comes
the
to
case?
when it comes to
When-
transition procedures like surgery or hormones, we both agree that if you're an adult, you should have the freedom to do that, right?
Yes.
And you're saying you're concerned that if minors do it, maybe they'll regret it later. It can cause developmental issues. They might regret it, whatever. Well, the minor is not making that decision themselves. They would go through a long process of consulting medical doctors, therapists, counselors, psychologists, and trying everything else that is the lowest cost, easiest way to address their issues, mental health issues, whatever it is, and make them better. And their parents would be largely guiding the process there alongside a medical professional. And then it is extremely, extremely, extremely rare for minors to get these types of procedures. And the instances where they do get those procedures, it is because of very extreme circumstances where a doctor is deciding that if this is not done, something worse is going to happen.
But what about in scenarios in which the parents are so-called liberals? No.
I'm a liberal. I wouldn't just randomly force my kid to get a surgery just because I'm a
talking
liberal.
about- no, I'm not saying it like that. I'm talking about radical liberals.
What are
Know
what are
that
the
people
radical
can-
liberals doing?
What are they doing? Maybe let me say you believe in radical liberalism. Let me just say it like that.
There's
You
radical
are
people
going
on
to
the
be forcing
left. I don't know if I'd call them radical liberals, but there's radical people who are on the left. Yeah, not a lot of them, but there's some.
There are.
There's way more radical right-wing people than radical
I've
left-wing
seen-
people, it seems like. But
There are more radical left than right.
Huh?
That's what I believe. You can believe. That's what I believe. The more radical left than right. So you can believe your
But like, let's just
Scenario
compare. You're
with
saying the
the-
radical left is like doing surgeries or whatever to like 5 children, maybe. It's like an extremely low number. And then what is the radical right doing?
can be.
They are destroying people's free speech. They are arresting people and locking them up for expressing their opinion if Trump does not like the opinion. They are destroying due process rights. They are sending non-criminals to basically concentration camps in El Salvador. They are defying the courts. They are defying the Congress. They are basically trying to defile the Constitution of the United States. The president constantly threatens his opponents, threatens his enemies. They've allowed civilians to die domestically
with
and
empty
abroad.
threats, with empty threats. With empty threats.
No. They've acted on these threats, right? Mahmoud Khalil was put in handcuffs and dragged away from his pregnant wife. For what reason? Because he just protested against Israel, which is free speech.
I don't have context on that, so I can't comment.
Well, I'm telling. There's video of it. It's true. Do you think it's right
I'll
for someone to be
I'll research
arrested
it
for
on my
expressing
own
their
and I'll
opinion?
come to a conclusion, and I'll try to imply it back to you.
So let me just ask you: are you okay with someone being put in handcuffs and then being locked up for expressing their opinions?
I believe that may not be okay, but I don't know the exact scenario. I don't have context.
Well,
on
you
that
don't
matter.
have to trust me on that because this actually went to court and a judge ruled that the Trump administration, the reason they arrested him was to scare him and scare other people so they would stop talking negatively about Israel. That's not me saying it, it's a judge. And you know who the judge is? Not a liberal judge, a conservative judge who was appointed by Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
Now,
I
to
hear you
me,
on that.
that seems like a way bigger deal than like some kid got hormones somewhere one time.
It's with the left. It's not just that. It's that and more.
Like what?
I believe that a lot of people that are in office today are being funded. Like you see, even the No Kings protest. I'm not talking about people in office now. I'm just speaking about it being funded.
The protests?
Yeah, the protests.
Yeah, well, of course
I
they're going to be
found
funded.
it.
I mean, there's organizations that
No.
do politics.
No, I'm just saying, I found it very intriguing that the one of the funders of the protests was Bill Gates, and a guy who had more
Who
debt
cares?
on him. No, I'm just saying, a guy who had more debt on him than Trump in the Epstein file.
Okay, yeah, and
And
anyone in the Epstein files who
I'm
committed a
not
crime
finished.
should
I'm
be
not
held
finished.
accountable,
I'm not finished.
obviously.
I'm not finished because
Uh-huh.
I saw on one of those things, on one of those posters they had, it was about something of Trump and Epstein. And I don't believe that Trump is any way, shape, or form implicated within the Epstein files. Like,
Well, he definitely knew what Epstein was
any-
doing. At the very least, he knew what Epstein was doing.
he knew, but who sent the message to the FBI? Wasn't it Trump?
Yeah, only after Epstein got caught and he was trying to cover his ass by pretending like he was going to help with the investigation. But years before, I believe actually over a decade before, Trump
you-
in an interview
do you
said
call
that Jeffrey
police on
likes
your
him young.
friends
What do you think that means?
do you call police on your friends for after you found out they're doing something?
He only reached out to the police after he found out there was an investigation happening. That's called covering your ass because you're scared.
I don't have context on that.
And I can
research
give
that
you
on my
Trump's
and
own
I'm
words. You don't have to
fine.
trust me. A decade before, Trump said in an interview that Jeffrey Epstein likes him young. What do we think that means?
It can be like maybe 18-year-olds or something like that. We don't know. Bro. I don't.
With
believe it.
Epstein, you think
I
when
don't-
someone says Epstein likes him young, they're talking 19, 18?
maybe 2021. I'm not sure, bro.
You're not
I'm
sure?
not. I'm not completely like.
Well, hold on. We
dedicated
agree that
towards the
Epstein was like
thesis.
into minors, right?
Yeah.
So then if someone who knows Epstein and hangs around him and parties with him says that he likes them young, why would that mean 18 plus when this guy is a criminal known for like touching kids?
It could be possible that when they were interacting, he was dealing with maybe over 18-year-olds in their personal interaction.
That just kind of
And
sounds
the
like
thing
you're
with
making an
kids-
excuse for Trump because that doesn't make any sense.
It's not an excuse. I'm just saying it may be possible. It's possible.
Anything's possible. I could sprout wings and fly away at any point in time, I suppose. But like when someone is friends with like a notorious PDF file, and then he says, "Hey, this guy he loves him young," I don't know that this has to be super complicated. It's like pretty straightforward what that is.
It's maybe possible. It may be possible that he knew. Maybe he had some dirt on him that we don't know. But I don't have much.
That Trump had
context
dirt on
the
Epstein that we don't
situation.
know?
Maybe.
Okay, why would he stay friends with someone and who he has dirt on, and the dirt is that he's a child
Do we know that
sex criminal?
he was friends with Epstein up until that moment that he called the police on him?
I'm talking about in the 90s, Trump said that Epstein likes him young when they were best buds hanging out at parties all the time.
We don't know what that means. The only thing that we can say is that he may have known.
Isn't that pretty significant if he knew that this guy was like a child sex criminal?
That's why I'm saying maybe he had dirt on him.
And he stayed friends with him? Why?
No, I'm saying maybe Epstein had dirt on Trump.
Wouldn't that
Something
concern you? What
that
kind of
maybe-
dirt would a pedophile have on his best friend who they bond over how much they like women and parties and stuff? What kind of dirt would we think that would be?
Maybe financials or something like that.
Why are we assuming it's anything and everything except the most obvious explanation?
What's the most obvious explanation from you?
That Trump knew that Epstein was into little girls and he still hung around him and partied around him, and it's very likely he participated, though we need more evidence on that. But at the very least, he knew and did nothing. At the very, very least. There are credible
Maybe.
allegations against him that were sent to the FBI, that in many cases there were follow-up interviews and the FBI determined like this is not necessarily like a bullshit accounting. You have the birthday card that Trump sent Epstein where the figure that was drawn looked like an underage person. You have so many situations where Epstein has talked about Trump in the emails saying, oh, he was looking at these young girls and he walked straight into a wall. I mean, and there's also just the fact that Trump tried to hide the files for an extremely long period of time. And if you didn't do anything wrong, wouldn't you be rushing to release the files to prove your innocence?
What's the evidence that he was trying to hide it?
That he came out and said he doesn't want them released. He posted on Truth Social, like, I don't want to release these, and it's all a scam, and it's all bullshit. That's the evidence, is that he said it.
I've never seen that. So I can't comment on.
Okay, well, he did say that. He was really mad about it being reported, and so.
But he was the one who also released the files.
Because he was forced to, because a supermajority of the Congress voted to do that.
Why didn't it happen under Biden?
Because a lot of the documents were still under court seal because there was an active court process going on. And also Biden was not running his DOJ the way that Trump is. Trump has turned the DOJ into his own personal law firm. There was a decent amount of independence and separation between Biden and his DOJ, where I wouldn't expect Biden to be getting daily updates on active criminal investigations from the Attorney General, because up until Trump, that was considered improper.
You said the files were stolen.
Say it again?
You said the files were stolen.
The files were what?
Stolen.
Stolen?
I heard you say they recovered the files within...
Some of the files were under court seal under Biden, meaning they could not be released due to just how the rules of the court process. And then on top of that, even if they weren't under court seal, Biden was not personally going through cases at the Justice Department. That would be on Merrick Garland. And I have plenty of issues with Merrick Garland. He should have went harder on prosecuting Trump, for one. So maybe Merrick Garland could have done more, but the Biden admin was relatively independent from the DOJ. I mean, remember, Biden's Department of Justice investigated Biden. It's not exactly something you would do if you are running the show at the DOJ. So I wouldn't expect Biden to know all the details of active investigations.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, I may agree and disagree on some things that the guy does. Né?
Okay.
I don't have context on the things he did with Epstein. I wasn't there, so I won't be able to verify the
Kamala Harris
that you're telling me.
didn't do anything with Epstein, though, right? I don't even think they ever met each other.
Rumors that he slept her way up within the political system.
A woman having a consensual relationship with another adult man, you're comparing it to like a child sex criminal and trafficker?
No, not just having a sexual relationship, like actually sleeping her way up.
She slept with everyone who voted for her? I mean, I understand she ran in an election and she won the election.
With her superiors, yeah.
Yeah, but she won an election.
She won an election for
Attorney General, I mean, all these positions she had.
It happened before that.
I'm just saying, so she had a consensual relationship with someone, and then she won an election afterwards where multiple people voted for her. So, like, what is the issue?
When she was in less of a... Let me just say, when she was in less power than she was, when she was at a lower position than... I'm just trying to say she slept with someone to elevate her up the job market. Let me just say job market.
How do you know that that's why she did it and that she was elevated by that? Because again, that guy can't just like snap his fingers and make her attorney general or district attorney. You have to actually like run and win votes.
Do you know about the story actually?
Huh?
Do you know about that story?
The Willie Brown thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that story's like bullshit. It's like a smear against her that's been popular, especially since the election a couple of years ago. And even, by the way, even if that was true, that she slept her way up, which is a fucking not true, why would we be comparing that to like a child sex criminal and trafficker? Like, why
But
are those in the
was he
same? First of all,
implicated?
you're wrong
Was
on the
he
facts. Even if you were
implicated?
right on the facts, what is the comparison there?
What is the comparison? I wasn't comparing.
Well, you brought it up in
Even if I'm
response to me
listen,
saying
if
that Kamala never knew Jeffrey Epstein and Trump was friends with Epstein and knew what Epstein was doing. So,
but he wasn't implicated within those things. There are no records that we can see right now.
knowing that
That
someone
prove
is touching kids and not doing anything and staying friends with them, that would be, you'd be implicated.
Listen, my guy. I
Okay.
have a lot of criminal friends there. I
Who
know
are
a lot
touching
of
children?
No, not touching children.
Okay.
Doing some illegal things now.
Like what?
Robbing, doing some of those things. Just they're just people I grew up with. I don't
Well, hold
interact
on.
with them anymore.
There's a
I'm just
big
saying
difference
I
between
knew them.
like property
No, I'm
crimes
just trying. I'm
and
just
sex
trying
crimes,
to-
right?
I know. I'm just trying to put it in a perspective in which that I can compare the
No, I get your
scenarios.
point that you're friends with people who are what they're fucking they steal shit. That's not really the same as like
Not
being
steal,
friends with like a
not
child sex
steal,
trafficker.
rob. Let me just say it like this now. I'm
Okay.
just trying to put it in a manner that you can metabolize because
Okay.
all the arguments that you're making are putting it in a bad light and
Because
not
it
actually
should be
trying to
put in
the
a bad
bad.
light because it's bad. So yeah,
No, it is bad. It sounds bad.
because it
Sounds
is.
bad.
It sounds bad because it is bad.
It sounds bad because maybe I don't have enough
Context. Yes.
because I don't actually live there, so I can't be interacting with your politics, all of them, everything about it. I don't know everything about your politics. That's why some of my information may be missing at places.
Don't you think it's important to have more information before you decide who you support for president?
I feel as if I should be having context, but he's not someone that I'm saying I can relate with his values more than I can with the democratic.
Sure. What do you
systems.
mean by that, though? What are his values? He's a horrible person.
His values, a horrible person being in that thing of the Epstein files alone, or with the war. That's
Just even
That
if
was
the
going on
Epstein
right
file
now.
stuff wasn't a thing and the Iran war was never like Trump is like a very bad, poor character. Do you think Trump has good
maybe
character?
Maybe that's the way you view him.
So you
I'm
okay? Just to be
saying,
clear, you
but
think Trump is of good character?
I'm not saying I don't know him personally.
Well, you
so
said
I
you
can't
align with him on
evaluate that.
values more than Democrats. I just want to know like what values would those be?
Like I told you, family values, which I also share with the.
What does that mean? What does
Russians.
family values mean?
You see, with the Russians also, they put the families ahead of the individuals. Within the society, they put the head of the family ahead of the individuals. This is going to sound bad, man. But let me just say, you remember in Hitler's time, I respect
No.
what Hitler did when he put the families in front of the. I'm not saying I respect Hitler. I don't respect him. I just respect one attribute that he did, which was put families before the individuals.
What does that even mean?
Like, what does that mean?
To
Aligning
Put
with
did he
families,
put Jewish families ahead of anyone?
not Jewish families.
Right.
The
So
families of the
so like
German
white
people.
people families?
Not just white people. I'm black also, my guy.
Hitler would not have
I
been a
can't-
fan of you.
I know. he
Hate to
wouldn't
burst
have
your
been.
bubble.
That's why I don't respect. I didn't say I respect the guy. I respected his values within the family, like uplifting the families if you had
No,
more
but he's
kids,
not
you
uplifting
would get
families. He
rewarded more.
slaughtered countless families.
Not those families. The families that.
Okay, so
he
you're
was
saying like
making sure.
Hitler was nice to the people who he was
I
nice
don't.
to, and you
I.
respect that because he was nice, or like what?
The argument is fundamentally flawed when you start making me a Hitler supporter.
I didn't
You
say
trying
you
to
were. I
put
just
me
think
in
you're
that box.
honestly very confused, or as you say, lacking context. Just you say that you care about family values. I don't think Hitler was like
I'm
a super
saying
pro
I
family
care.
values guy. I think he was just like into eugenics and he was a racist.
Can you repeat that?
To care about family values would mean Jewish families, non-white families, families of people in other countries, and
I
Hitler and the
didn't say
Nazis
that.
slaughtered countless families.
I knew that he did.
So in what way was Hitler pro-family values?
I didn't say I respect. I say I'm right now. I'm just saying that I respect the way that he uplifted the families of the German people. Not all families. You're fundamentally making
Okay.
the argument flawed when you're making me.
So you're
Hitler
saying
supporter.
you respect that he was good for specifically the German families.
Not specifically the German families, the manner in which that he uplifted the German families.
Like
in
what?
which was you got a higher rank by having more children,
Okay.
encouraging people to
If what?
procreate.
If what though? If you're not Jewish or non-white or disabled or like a million other
I-
things.
I, like I said, you are making the argument flawed when you're making me.
I'm just saying
Hitler
that's not
supporter. I'm
family
saying-
values. That's like eugenics. He cared about white families because he wanted to produce more like Aryan people. Like he wanted white people to breed and become the master race. And to frame that as like family values, I've never heard that before.
It can be.
And by the way, every horrible person
I'm
is. Let me
removing-
just finish this point
listen,
real quick.
can I
Let
explain-
me just
can I
quickly finish
explain
this
that?
point. You can finish your thing. Every horrible person is gonna be nice to someone. Like I'm sure Stalin and Hitler and all these people. Well, I respect that they were nice to their son that one time, or they were nice to these specific people. I respect that. But like, yeah, everyone is gonna be nice to the people who they're nice to. That's not how you judge an overall person or their policy. So if you're talking about pro-family policy, I would say it's like the Biden policy of actually giving money to families with children, like the child tax credit, or wanting to expand. Democrats want to expand child care. That's what I think of when I think of family values. Is it easier to start a family? Can you afford to start a family? Do you have child care options available to you? And for some reason, when you think of family values, you think of Trump, who's like a serial cheater, and then you think of Adolf Hitler.
I'm speaking about the incentives of procreations. People that are
Democrats
giving
do that
incentives to
more.
them.
They give more tax credits to families than Republicans do.
I don't know that, so I can't comment on it.
It's true that the child tax credit was made fully refundable under Biden's, I believe it was under the American Rescue Plan, and it cut the childhood poverty rate in half. It's Democrats are the party that want to make child care free, which allows people to have children while still being able to work. They want to expand paid maternity and paternity leave so people can take time off work and raise their children at home. They want more funding for education and like children getting food and stuff. And Republicans want to bully trans children and bully gay children, and in many cases deport black children and brown children. And this is somehow pro-families because why?
I'm just saying the manner in which that was being done within those. The family is not just a mother and and her kids. It's the mother, the father, and all of her kids.
Okay.
And we must promote what I mean by family.
Yeah, I'm not against
Family
fathers. I'm
values,
for
I'm just
paid
saying-
paternal leave as well as paid maternal leave.
Not about the paid maternal leave. I'm talking about the uniting of the full family structure.
Wouldn't that be
Hitler did
achieved
that.
by having better education, better infrastructure, more economic opportunity, and more social stability?
Educated can't make you love someone, and some people leave their families.
No, but I mean, people are more likely to want to have children when they can have economic stability and like can provide a good education to their children.
economic stability doesn't make you want to be
Like,
with someone.
families are worse off under Trump. They have their money is stretching like less. They have a harder time buying groceries and paying rent. So how is that good for
And that was
families?
temporary. And that was temporary. It still is temporary. I believe, what I believe.
Do
is
you
that
think it's
when you
possible
see
that
what-
maybe you just believe it's temporary because you support Trump, so you don't want to assume that he did something wrong,
such as
such as having horrible economic policy that hurts families,
like
like cutting taxes for the wealthy, like having tariffs, like getting the Strait of Hormuz shut down by launching a war against Iran that causes a global energy crisis?
with the wealth cutting of taxes, I believe that that was an incentive for business owners to hire more people.
That's not true.
Why is it not true?
Because corporate taxes apply to corporate profits, not to your cost of labor.
We know the cost of labor, but you can't be operating under, not operating, I'm just saying occupy more employees without having a bigger budget.
You understand the corporate tax rate was like 35% under Barack Obama, and he had a way stronger economy then than Trump has now at like 20-something percent.
The nature of an economy is to erode, and I'm just speaking about currency now. I'm just saying.
Sure, I don't
the
think the
nature
nature of an
currency-
economy is to erode.
Not saying that any nature of an economy is to erode. I'm just saying the nature of the currency obviously is going to get weaker because of what is it called again?
Bro, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, that's done. I don't know what just happened in that conversation, but I Hitler and that'll make a YouTube clip, right? That we got something out of this. That'll make a good YouTube clip. That was good. I don't really know where to go from there. That was he said it all. You could never expect the next words that were going to come out of his mouth. Never let them know your next move, I guess. What the fuck? Family values. So that term just means nothing at all. Cool. Man, I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of hungry. I might wrap up the live. Might wrap it up. Maybe record a couple of YouTube videos. And fuck, I should have recorded that conversation. Now I have to wait for the fucking YouTube thing to process so I can download the VOD. Any last minute questions, comments, concerns, whatever else before I hop off? We were wringing the necks of our phones. That was I'm like still in a state of shock from what I heard. Like I haven't processed what just happened. I'm still trying to process the guy who said that equilibrium is when supply equals demand, except actually it's not. Oh man. Yeah, I feel insane too. I'm gonna have to second that. This is why we need to pivot more to YouTube. Because what do I guess you guys enjoy the lives. That's why I do them. But like, I get rage baited. I get exhausted by random dumb people, and I get like stressed out. And then it's like, I'm being dramatic. There's some good YouTube clips in there, but I am pivoting more to YouTube videos now. That's the move. So if y'all are watching this, the 55 people that are here, lock in on YouTube, okay? If you're not subscribed on YouTube, you're actually a fascist, by the way. You actually also think that Hitler was pro-family values, and you're fucking evil if you don't subscribe on YouTube. So subscribe on YouTube. Watch all my videos. Like all my videos. Share all my videos. What else? What else? Follow me on Twitter. Yeah, that's the stuff. Follow TikTok, subscribe YouTube, like YouTube, watch YouTube, share YouTube, comment. But that's the move. I need to YouTube is the move. I need to be consistent, and that's because, bro, short form, the algorithm is fucked on TikTok. On Reels, it's very hit or miss. YouTube is that's the move. That's where everyone's at now. Don't make me go into okay, fine. You don't. The Twitter, I will say, is optional. Okay, but the YouTube is mandatory. We'll say the Twitter is the discretionary budget, but the subscribing on YouTube, that's like an entitlement. That's a mandatory program that we have to address. Can I make you into Tomodachi life? I don't know what that is, Mackenzie. What do we need to do to unite the left? I like where you're going with your rant. You need like a charismatic figure. That's just true. You just need someone who has aura. That's just I understand like grassroots is important, but it's like not sufficient on its own. You need both. You need like a charismatic, strong leader and a grassroots movement that can work in tandem. It can't just be one or the other. Yeah, I don't feel too great about the left uniting right now. It's because the left doesn't listen to me. If I was in charge of the left, we'd be putting up fucking FDR numbers, trust me. My first act as president is everyone in the Trump admin gets put on a flight. They think the flight is going to Russia, where they can have immunity and live under Russian protection. But the flight gets rerouted to El Salvador, and they spend out the rest of their days in CCOT. And we have a bunch of GoPros set up in CCOT, and their confinement is live streamed on Twitch. And for every sub or donation, they get sprayed in the face with a water bottle. It's a me. Me? Is that like the we thing? The little characters? All this purity testing is getting exhausting. The purity testing goes away when someone with aura shows up and they're like, shut the fuck up, I'm fucking epic and this is what we're going to do. And everyone's like, this is so cool. And then that's usually how that goes. Like, again, I go back to Hungary. How much, what is the let's pull this up. Hold on. Hungary election results. What is this? 55.26%. Am I tripping, or is their coalition larger than that? I feel like they won by a bigger margin. It's a parliamentary system, right? So, okay, how many, what is the guy's name? Peter Magyar. How much of Hungary's parliament will, I guess? Okay, yeah. Peter Magyar's what the fuck are these words? Party controls 141 of the 199 seats in Hungary's parliament, giving him a massive 70.8% constitutional supermajority. It's like, can you imagine 70% of Americans agreeing on anything ever in any election? I feel like we could run a fucking referendum on is the sky blue and you couldn't get 70%. So until we can lock in, and you need a supermajority in these moments. You can't just fucking scrape by with like a 52% thing. You need like a 65% plus of America to be fucking locked in lockstep, in coordination, voting for things, protesting, and it has to be organized. There has to be logic to it. It can't just be random people like posting and screaming and stuff. Like there has to be an overarching logic and like a macro plan. And that requires leadership and delegation of authority. If you want to see something like this, like imagine, can you imagine if Democrats had 70 Senate seats? Can you imagine that? Even if it was, you know, combined with independents like Bernie Sanders and stuff, but like the effective people who would vote for the Democrats in the Senate would be 70 people. Can you imagine? We wouldn't even need to get rid of the filibuster. We could leave it in place to fuck the Republicans and still just do whatever. Like, here's the thing, and this is something I've been thinking about. We talk about we have to get rid of the filibuster when Democrats get in, which is true. We do. But the fact that we have to do that means we've just taken for granted that, like, yeah, we're just never going to have a majority big enough to just work past the filibuster. And then it's like, the fact that we have to get rid of the filibuster, I feel like is like a sign of weakness of the broad appeal. Like we shouldn't have to do that, you know? We should, like we will, hopefully. I mean, I don't know if I believe they will, but we should. But it speaks to like the lack of coordination and coherence to the movement. Stephen Colbert, I don't know what that was in response to, sorry. Trump will say it's stolen unless it's a runaway win. I feel like he'll Man, Trump needs to just be... I hope he lives to the end of his days. Like, he's someone who needs to rot in a cell. Massey lost. Damn. I mean, yeah, you go against Trump, it doesn't matter what you say or what you do. It's just, you're just cooked. Massive charismatic figure. Yeah. Stephen Colbert. When I think about who has the sauce for that right now, who has the aura, it's James Talarico to me. Did anyone see the graduation speech he gave? That is the best speech I have seen from a public official in a very long time. Like a very, 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 like honestly, even going back to the Obama era, like that was a fucking banger speech. Oh my God. He has it. Talarico has it. How'd he lose to this random named Ed Galrian? Is that his name? Galrian? I don't know, bro. He looks like any other Republican. He looks like that one weird evil pastor dude. You know, the one who was like, I did not say that. Don't you ever say I did. Super creepy looking guy. Talarico, Buttigieg, Ossoff. Yes, but like Talarico specifically. Has anyone seen this speech that I'm referring to? I'm going to pull it up. Maybe we'll wrap the live on a positive note for the 40 people here. Hold on. Let's pull it up. Actually insane banger speech. Like I got chills watching that shit. And all the comments are like, this guy's like a once in a generation figure, which is, I think, true. Here it is. Oh my God. This was, I can't express how good this speech was, bro. Like, you don't see people yapping like this anymore. It's a lost art to be able to yap like this. And I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I'm going to wrap this up soon. And this is more than like even just policy. It's like this guy just oozes good character. And at some point along the way under the Trump era, this weird quote unquote conventional wisdom has started going around that like, I don't care about the character of my politicians. I just want them to like sign good policy and stuff. It's like actually character is very, very, very fucking important. It affects what they prioritize, how they go about pursuing change, how they communicate to the public, what they choose to exemplify versus not. people act now like character are just window dressing and it's like all fake politeness. Maybe I'm old-fashioned or crazy. I think we should try to have people in public office who have good intentions. And I think that exists, actually. There's also this other conventional wisdom that's like super cynical that like there's no such thing as good intentions and like everyone is like a fucking evil self-interested actor. You can be both self-interested and good faith and have good intentions. And now it's like everyone just takes for granted that like everyone's fucking cynical and looking out for themselves and it's a fucking zero-sum game and everyone's out to get each other. It's like this should be what our politics is.
Give it up for the Paul Quinn College Ensemble. And congratulations.
Do you agree with his it's not left versus right, it's up versus down? I think it's genius framing. I think it works in the sense that it allows him to build a coalition of Democrats and Republicans, which he needs in a place like Texas. It's just basic political strategy. If he runs on a left versus right thing, that hurts him in a general election in a state like Texas. And I will say, some Democrats and people on the left, they do the top versus bottom thing in like a really sloppulist way where they're like, it's all just, you know, the big money and it's us normal people. And it's like a little bit lazy and like a little bit boring. But Talarico, to his credit, he specifically talks about the tech billionaires. And I do think there needs to be an addressing of a conversation about like tech billionaires, actually. Yeah. Specifically tech billionaires are to blame for a lot of shit going on. Isolation, self-image issues with young people, polarization, like the attention spans of everyone. There is a genuine top versus bottom. When he talks about top versus bottom, it's not some fucking, you know, brain dead, just like, oh yeah, it's the poor versus the rich, and I'm never going to elaborate on anything, and everything's like super simplistic. He actually says like, no, it's like big tech and big media have a financial incentive for us to hate each other and live a certain type of lifestyle, which is true. Right? The incentive structures for big tech companies are directly in contradiction with human flourishing. And I've been on this for a while. I was talking about this in like 2023, that like the fact that there is a company called Dopamine Labs. There are all these companies that literally do like neuroscience research to design UIs for apps and to design advertisement. And now you have this idea of like dynamic pricing, where the price you are charged for something is going to be set by how bad you need it. That destroys markets. There's no such thing as consumer surplus anymore if everyone is being charged their willingness to pay. So markets just break down in that situation. So there are two ways to do the top versus bottom framing, and most people do it in the very lazy way of like, it's us versus the money and, you know, whatever. And it's like not really saying much, just kind of like a popular refrain. But I think Talarico's version of that is actually substantive. And I'd like to see that version of it catch on, which is like, it is the top versus the bottom in the sense that when economic power accumulates in the hands, especially of technology companies and especially like advertisers, and there's a financial incentive for us to always be on our phone, scrolling, ordering stuff online, gambling, being addicted to all these things, that is actually fucking poisonous for society. And there are economic interests who benefit from that, even though it directly hurts our society. So,
to the class of 2026. And congratulations to the people who made this day possible. Your family, your friends, your mentors, your prez, and your professors. Before I was a politician, I was a public school teacher. I taught 6th grade language arts at Rhodes Middle School on the west side of San Antonio. I often say teaching middle school is the best preparation for politics. The west side of San Antonio is a beautiful, historic neighborhood. It's also one of the poorest zip codes in the entire state of Texas, a neighborhood not unlike Highland Hills. My students weren't just kids, they were survivors, dreamers, fighters. I saw it in their eyes, something unyielding, something unshakable. I see the same thing in your eyes. As a former teacher, I am so proud of each and every one of you. And I am so honored to be here at Paul Quinn College. Paul Quinn was not started by politicians. It was built by black preachers holding classes in church basements and living rooms just 7 years after emancipation came to Texas. For 154 years, Quinnites have been guided by a deep moral commitment to all of God's children, regardless of their skin color or their zip code. This place has spiritual roots. This place is rooted in
And you know
faith.
what it is that I like about Talarico that I don't see a lot in other politicians? It is the level of spirituality he brings to politics, but I feel like people conflate spirituality with religion, but I think what Talarico does that I like is like, he doesn't say like, oh, fellow Christians, whatever. He just talks about the general idea of like a bigger purpose that should transcend like material considerations of like financial profit and feeling good. Like, and I think that is, people are maybe scared of that because they don't want it to be used as a Trojan horse for religious oppression or theocracy, which I think is a valid concern. But speaking with spiritual language in politics, if spirituality is just that like we should strive to be a better society that aspires to ideals and tries to create virtuous people, and where like everyone is fucking, you know, all the happiness and love shit that people think is like corny, but it's like low-key kind of based. Like, I like that he embraces that, especially in a moment where it's like you're just supposed to be so cynical and fucking self-interested and everyone is evil and out to get you. So that is what to me makes Talarico very unique, and I'd like to see more of that in politics.
In service and in love. Today, I want to invite all of you to live out of those roots. When this school fell on hard times, God sent a teacher, a leader, a visionary, Dr. Michael Sorrell. Dr. Sorrell returned this school to its roots. He doubled down on serving the poor and the marginalized. He transformed this college into one of the best HBCUs in the country, and sparked a revolution in higher education in the process. I'm reminded of the words of Scripture. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. In this new world, Dr. Sorrell is building all who have been counted out, all who have been left behind, all who have been forgotten. The stones the builders rejected will be the cornerstone. A revolution from below. Because in the words of Dr. Sorrell himself, in the history of mankind, how many revolutions have started from above? You may not believe that a world rooted in faith, service, and love is possible. In your short lives, you've seen a pandemic and an insurrection, natural disasters and artificial intelligence, mass shootings and mass deportations, all piped through your screen into your souls. You have scrolled through more suffering, more division, more chaos than any generation in human history. You've grown up in an economy that isn't built for you. The American dream is on life support. 90% of baby boomers went on to earn more money than their parents. For millennials like me, it's 50%. And for Gen Z, it's even lower. And we know that black Texans have 10 times less wealth and are half as likely to own a home. This current cost of living crisis is the culmination of 50 years of trickle-down economics. 50 years of the top 1% rigging this economic system and this political system for their own benefit at our expense. Young people can't afford to buy a home, but Jeff Bezos has 12. Young people can't afford to fill up their gas tank, but Mark Zuckerberg is launching helicopters from his mega yacht. Young people pay more than their fair share of income taxes, but someone like Elon Musk can get away without paying a penny. All of this has left your generation disillusioned. Disillusionment has a bad reputation, but being disillusioned means being freed from illusions, to see reality, to know the truth. As painful as it may be, your disillusionment is a superpower. You can see the world as it is and dream of the way it ought to be. Listen to the poetry of Langston Hughes. I am so tired of waiting, aren't you, for the world to become good and beautiful and kind. Let us take a knife and cut the world in two to see what worms are eating at the rind. We are living in an era of corruption. When I say corruption, I don't just mean illegal activity. I mean corruption in the deeper sense, the rotting of something from the inside. Politicians serving billionaire mega donors instead of their constituents, that's political corruption. The top 1% owning more wealth than the entire middle class, that's economic corruption. For-profit social media algorithms sowing division in our communities and turning neighbor against neighbor, that's social corruption. Our systems are rotting from the inside out. The ties that
This
bind us
is
together
just
are
true.
unraveling.
Like it feels like the United States is in a state of decay. And to acknowledge this, here's the thing: is like he actually acknowledges the dire circumstances, but finds a way to make it inspirational or aspirational rather. Like he talks about everyone's disillusioned. There's all this stuff going on, and that is in a sense an opportunity to build something new. This framework is just very, to me, I feel like this is the right tone to be hitting in this moment.
The most powerful people in this country are profiting off our pain, profiting off our division, profiting off our disconnection from one another. This is, at its root, a spiritual crisis, and it will require a spiritual solution. The author Bell Hooks wrote, "A culture that is dead to love can only be resurrected by a spiritual awakening." We've seen these spiritual awakenings happen in America. Historians have identified 4. In the 1730s, America's first Great Awakening shook the religious establishment and reminded ordinary people of their own spiritual power. In the early 1800s, the Second Great Awakening gave birth to the abolitionist movement and the fight for women's rights. In the late 1800s, the Third Great Awakening produced the social gospel, which inspired the labor movement and the New Deal. And in the 1960s, the Fourth Great Awakening gave us the civil rights movement, liberation theology, and the Great Society. These spiritual awakenings occur roughly every 70 years, moments when political instability, economic inequality, and social upheaval lead people to look inward, to reclaim old traditions, to live out of their roots. I believe we are on the verge of a new Great Awakening. And I believe
that entire framework, the way he's able to get it across, like, I don't see anyone else talking like this in a way that is so accurate to the moment, but also very easy to digest for the average person.
And I believe you are going to lead it. I'm an elderly millennial. I can't stay up past 10 p.m. My joints ache, and my younger cousins call me cringe. They also call me Unk, whatever that means. But Gen Z, freed from illusions, is uniquely suited to lead us at this moment. Many of you grew up on the For You page. The endless scroll is emblematic of what humans have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years, searching. If we scroll past one more tweet, one more TikTok, maybe we'll find what we're looking for, the one that will make us feel something. But what you're looking for can't be found in artificial platforms run by billionaires. It is within you. In addition to my public service, I'm a student in seminary, studying to become a minister.
It's also just that, like, Trumpism and MAGA and all this rise, again, of different types of bigotry, it does speak to, like, beyond just politics, like a social and a psychological rot. And that needs to be addressed in a very deep way. And I see a lot of people staying a little bit too much on the surface level when the issue, like he said, has really gotten down to the root, and that needs to be addressed.
In addition to my public service, I'm a student in seminary, studying to become a minister like my granddad, who was a Baptist preacher in
How insane is it that he has a chance to lose now, lock in? He's going to win. He's going to win, I believe.
Texas. Part of seminary is learning how to read the Bible in its original Greek and Hebrew. In my first year, I was looking at the word for faith and saw that many times it's translated as belief, but it can also be translated as trust. When you define faith that way, you realize we all have a faith of some kind, because we all put our trust in something. What do you put your ultimate trust in? Money? Status? Power? In other words, what are we living for?
What other major political figure in the United States is like talking about stuff like this? Like, what is the purpose of us living in the United States, being Americans? Like, what is the purpose of society and us as individuals? These are important questions that are being fundamentally questioned and attacked right now, when like the bedrock of our entire society and all the progress we have made is being actively undermined, actively attacked. To be able to get down to the root of just like the values that are precursors to any kind of specific policy, this to me is like extremely needed right now.
I'm not talking about a belief system, I'm talking about a life system. During the Great Depression, Harvard researchers began one of the longest studies on human life ever conducted. 80 years, thousands of participants. They were seeking the answer to one question: what makes a good life? Their answer was surprising. The key to happiness wasn't income, it wasn't fame, it wasn't status, it was relationships. Their findings suggest the only thing deserving of our ultimate trust is love. The great faith traditions of the world are all trying to tell us the same thing, that we are made by love, with love, to love. Faith at its best is falling in love with everything all at once.
And this is like, I feel like I never hear someone speaking in such unifying terms. Like this, I really think Talarico is a generational talent. Now, whether or not the stars align for him to have his moment in the sun is a different question, but in terms of just pure caliber, I think he is like something special.
Is love. The great faith traditions of the world are all trying to tell us the same thing, that we are made by love, with love, to love. Faith at its best.
And a lot of people wouldn't say stuff like this because it's like the conventional wisdom is like, oh, that's corny. You're not supposed to talk like that. But it's like, corny things eventually become so pushed out of society that you have to kind of bring them back in and be like, this actually, it's corny for a reason, is because there's something to it. Like that, there's a reason it's become such a platitude. And especially now when it's like the president of the United States embodies such fucking horrible character, cheating on your wife, insulting others, being arrogant, obnoxious, narcissistic, self-obsessed, disregarding the value of human life. All these things, like these are not just political disagreements. These are fundamental disagreements on values and the value of human beings and like the purpose of life, the purpose of society. And like, if you can address these fundamental questions, you can change the coat of paint. But the question is like, what is the coat of paint actually on? Like, what is the underlying thing?
Everything all at once. If we think back to childhood, so much of our happiness was just being present. I became an uncle 3 years ago.
And I agree. People are craving corny feel-good right now. There's a reason the Superman movie resonated like that. Is because he was fucking saving a squirrel from like some monster or whatever. That was my favorite scene in that movie, that he saved like a squirrel. Because in a Marvel movie, dude, the squirrel would get fucking crushed into puree, and then Iron Man would be like, well, that just happened. Like, everything is so like unserious now, and everything's just a joke, and everyone just looking out for themselves. And to have just like a wholesome, well-intentioned perspective in modern politics is so rare. And it's very hard to do. Like, I commend him for having this energy.
Baby niece Jane is fascinated by the most boring things. Much of our happiness was just being present. I became an uncle 3 years ago. My baby niece Jane is fascinated by the most boring things. A bug, a fork, a cloud. She can't get over it. At her age, it's all wonder and awe. If I had one piece of advice for you, it would be to stop what you're doing, to stop your hurry, to stop your scrolling. Just stop and look around with a child's eyes. I love this line from a great American novel, The Color Purple. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. People think pleasing God is all God cares about, but any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back. I'm not asking you to search for something out there. I'm asking you to notice what's all around. I'm not asking you to believe something new. I'm asking you to trust something that's already inside of you. I'm not asking you to join an organized religion. I'm asking you to join something bigger than yourself.
That's the line. That's the line right there. That's a fucking banger. It's needed, and I don't see anyone else saying that type of thing.
Believe something new.
I have to run that back. That's such a good way to frame it.
I'm asking you to trust something that's already inside of you. I'm not asking you to join an organized religion. I'm asking you to join something bigger than yourself. Find a spiritual practice that works for you, whether it's meditation or fasting, gardening or bird watching, whether it's in a church or a temple or a book club or a neighborhood group. Find a community that can help you touch the ground of your own being. We're all expressions of a mystery, the riddle of our existence, that sacred something. You may call it God or the cosmos or love. It doesn't really matter, but if at the end of a long day you find yourself in a moment of silence, say thank you. It just might be listening. How would our world be different if we truly saw all human beings as expressions of a divine source, as bearers of a sacred image? If we saw every human being as our sibling, if we realized we are all members of one body? Paul Quinn shows us what that world would look like. The ethos here is simple: we over me. In the Quinnite nation, you are not allowed to be selfish. Selfish people destroy the fabric of communities. They are the root of all evil and will never be tolerated in the Quinnite nation. That ethos is countercultural. Our culture is all about ego. More followers, more status, more money. We're encouraged to be the center of the universe. But being the center of the universe is exhausting, and it's an illusion. We are a branch on the tree, a wave in the ocean. We exist for a fleeting moment, then rejoin the whole. Look at yourself, at your fingers and hands. Do you look permanent? If the answer is no, then the question becomes, how do you want to spend yourself? What do you want to give?
These are just bars. Like, I like Buttigieg, I like Ossoff. I've never seen them talk like this. Maybe I've genuinely missed it, but
how do you want to spend yourself? What do you want to give? How do you want to use those hands? Dr. King said, everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. The most
like, is this not in every way a rejection of MAGA and Trumpism? It's the polar opposite. People act like, oh, Newsom, but no, Newsom is just like the Trump of the left in terms of the tactics he wants to use, of like attention economy and, oh, here's your knee pads and you're fat. And trust me, I'll never get mad at someone insulting Trump for any reason, fat, ugly, whatever. So that's fine and all. But in terms of like a movement leader, someone to usher in a new era of politics after the MAGA rot and decay and the disgusting shit that's gone down over the past decade, this is just like not even playing the same game. It's like sometimes I feel like Democrats are trying to beat Trump at his own game, and this feels like the only guy who is like, actually, we're going to play a different game. And that actually, I feel like that's the actual solution to the era we're in. Is like, stop existing within the paradigm that is fundamentally broken. You have to actually exist within a new paradigm to create it and to like manifest it in a sense.
Effective social movements, the civil rights movement, the labor movement, the farm workers movement, grew from spiritual roots. Freedom riders sang hymns, organizers fasted, protesters prayed. Faith leads us to service, and then service leads us back to faith. Dr. Sorrell talked about the importance of prayer in sustaining his work. Then he said, I get up off my knees and start swinging. We all need to start swinging against the injustices surrounding us. A few weeks ago.
See, and he does the whole like love and peace and everyone is one and all that stuff, but then he still says you have to fight back against injustice. So I like that he has, it's not like he's just neutering the movement. He just believes in like a more righteous energy to motivate it than just one that is purely operating on this like zero-sum power play situation.
Need to start swinging against the injustices surrounding us. A few weeks ago, An Amazon worker died while working in one of Amazon's warehouses. And as he lay on the floor dying, management told the other workers, just turn around and don't look. Get back to work. Get back to work. That was a human being. That was a child of God. That was our sibling, sacrificed on the altar of corporate greed. Don't conform to this world. It is not healthy to assimilate in a sick system. I know we're here at your college, but I'm asking you to question everything you've been told at school or at work or at church, and certainly anything you hear from a politician. Reject anything that makes you less human. A different world is possible. What if we built systems that brought out the best in us? What if we invested the same resources into peace that we invest into war? What if the only hunger was for justice? According to James Baldwin, wherever human beings are, we at least have a chance, because we're not only disasters, we're also miracles. You are a miracle. Everything conspired to create you. There has never been anyone in the history of the universe like you, and there never will be again. You have a gift to give. It may be big, it may be small. It may
Imagine if like Gen Alpha boys were growing up watching stuff like this instead of fucking Andrew Tate and Donald Trump and whoever the fuck. Like, there used to be this idea back in the day once that a president could, in some sense, in terms of how they carry themselves and speak at least, serve as some kind of role model, some kind of representative. That's been out the fucking window for I don't know how long. This is the first time where I'm like, this is like a good exemplary person and how he carries himself, how he speaks.
You have a gift to give. It may be big, it may be small, it may be valued by society, it may not. Howard Thurman wrote, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. You, class of 2026, are the light of the world. In confusing times, let your wisdom shine. In artificial times, let your authenticity shine. In cruel times, let your love shine. Scripture tells us all of creation will be shaken, so that only unshakable things will remain. The world as we know it is shaking. The old certainties, the old institutions, the old corruption. The old world is dying and a new one is struggling to be born. In the rubble of this shaken world, you'll find the stones the builders rejected, the people who have been told they're too poor, too different, too young to matter. You will be the cornerstone of a new world built on unshakable things: faith, service, and love. Live out of those roots, the roots that run through this place, started by black preachers after emancipation, leading a revolution from below. Speaking of roots, Questlove once said, "How do you plan a rebirth? I'm not sure you do. You just stand in the darkness until you can't endure it any longer, and then you move forward until you're standing in the light." We are on the verge of a new great awakening, and your generation, with disillusionment as your superpower, will lead us. Fall in love with everything all at once. Touch the ground of your being. Remember, you are an expression of a sacred something. Then get off your knees and start swinging. Congratulations, class of 2026. God
Banger.
bless you. Thank you.
No one else. I don't see this energy from anyone. I genuinely, I think that this guy is like, has potential to be a generational talent in terms of purely caliber. There's also a question of like, how did the stars align and does someone actually become like a big figure? There's more that goes into it than just ability. But if we're going purely off of just, does he have it or not? He has it. Like this guy is, in my opinion, very special. Okay, yeah, and all the comments are like, yeah, restores my faith in humanity. How many people, as a result of Trumpism, have like just more broadly lost faith in human beings and like human society and whether like the human experiment is trending in a good direction or a bad direction? You watch someone like this and you're like, oh wait, yeah, not everything has to be horrible. Things can actually be good. It's not just that we have to stop things from getting worse. We can actually have things get better. This is like a very This is the ethos. He used the word ethos. I like that. This is like the ethos we need. Okay, with that, I'm actually going to wrap up the live. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you follow up above. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If there's any quick things anyone wants to run by me in the chat before I hop off, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a night for tonight. And we got some good clips today for YouTube. When are we debating theism, Mr. Khan? Spirituality. Not theism is like a very specific. What is? Hold on. It's actually a good thing to look up. Theism definition: believe in the existence of a god or gods, especially belief in one god as a creator of the universe. So this is like an active god who is like interfering in the world. So this does have more of a religious connotation. And then if we just do spirituality definition, and I mean, these definitions are not set in stone. People have different. The quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. This feels like a very different thing to me than theism. This just has to do with concern with themes that are larger than one's own self-interest, I guess. But next time, the day will come. Don't worry. You're good, man. Like the stream. Keep it up. Thank you, that crow guy. Legend. This will be the second time I make you look up the word. Just jokes, King. Stay locked in. I'm trying to stay locked in. It's getting hard to stay locked in, but I'm hanging on so far. The IRS news today was like, slap in the face is not the right word, but it's like these people are fucking stomping on us, wiping their ass with the Constitution. Now they spit in our face. It's like, and no one does anything. It's just so. It's so fucked. It's so fucked. It's actually crazy. But listen, not all hope is lost because I'm here and I'm fucking based, and that's what matters. Okay, subscribe and follow on TikTok. Okay, I'm gonna actually wrap it up now. Have a good night, y'all. Stay safe. Eat your vegetables. Drink your water. And lock in. Hold on. What am I looking for? I need to time my signing offs better for when I find the actual button. Okay, found it. Have a good night, y'all.